Hello, welcome, 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 everyone. Interesting topic today. Like I told you, I will be back today, and we will talk about servitors. We have just dropped that lecture in our community. Again, my name is Miss Penny. I'm a metaphysical practitioner, and my specialty is ancestral veneration and talking about all things hoodoo. Hello, hello, for we a hello, 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 King Lao. Welcome, 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 YouTube family and TikTok family. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Very interesting topic we're going to have tonight. I will try not to keep you long, but in order to, we dropped that lecture over there, and I feel like in order to help you understand mojo bags and doll babies and voodoo dolls, they go by a variety of name, Gris Gris bags, Nation bags. They go by a variety of name. Inkisi bags, again, to understand this concept, because these are very old concepts, but when the Western occultists got their hand on it, it watered it down. But what I do like about their directions for creating a servitor, it is also, you can keep that in mind when you're creating a mojo bag or a doll baby. Now, if you've seen many of people come here and they have put these mojo bags together, and you have saw them put herbs in there, but it's more than that that's going on there. Okay? That is a small piece of what needs to happen there. There is so much thought that needs to be going into a mojo bag, and this is just a portion of it. I think it is the most important part is you giving your mojo bag life and knowing how to get your mojo bag working. That is the most important thing. So you have a lot of people, they're coming here and they're showing you put all this stuff in there, but it's more stuff that's going on. And the mojo bag, a doll baby, it may take you, depending on what you want your mojo bag to do, how potent you want your mojo bag to be. You might, it may take you a minute to form a mojo bag or a doll baby, whatever fetish or you're trying to create. Okay, whatever spirit you're trying to, create to help you with your intentions. It might take you a minute, as it should. You should put more thought into when you start creating doll babies and mojo bags. You should put more thought in it. Okay, the more thought you put it into it, the better it's going to work. But if you're just throwing stuff in there, you think it's going to work like that. I I don't know, how does it working for you? How does that working for you? There should be more ritual going on there than throwing herbs and stuff in a bag, okay? Or making a mojo bag like that. It should be more effort put into it. So that is why we cover servitors over there, and to help you understand that you are working with spirits. This is more than just a bag you're creating. You are creating a spirit, an extension of yourself, an extension of your consciousness. That's what you're doing when we work with doll babies, or we're working with mojo bags. We're creating a spirit. When you are working with the candle, that's a spirit. Now it's working for you. When you're working with jars, that's a spirit. Now you have created a spirit. It is working for you because you have breathed intentions into it, and now you got your consciousness on it, and now it's a spirit working for you. Thoughts are things. We talked about this at the beginning of our community. I broke down thoughts forms for you to help you understand how important they are in your magic and how important your mind is. So when you're making these mojo bags and doll babies, it's very important for you to stay focused with your intentions when you're making them. The better you can focus, the better that bag or that doll baby is going to work, that jar, that candle. But if your mind is scattered, then your work gonna be scattered. This is why I tell people all the time, and I think practitioners need to say this more. Your mind need to be right. Your nervous system need to be regulated when you're doing magic. All of this matters. If those are not in refined condition, then you're gonna have trouble with your magic, or you're gonna have to hi Melanin 67, hello, welcome. Or you're gonna be having to work with spirits really close. That's why I said hoodoo is a way of life. And certain spirits, if your frequency is not at a certain level, they won't work with you. You're not going to be able to reach into that type of higher consciousness. That's why we get you to doing shadow work. That is why we get you to working with angels. That's why we get you to working with saints again, so you can start healing and raising your vibration and your thoughts. Change your thought patterns. All of that has to change. It all goes together. It all goes hand to hand. Okay, so thoughts, making sure that you can focus your thoughts when you are making a doll baby or a mojo bag. Hi, Kat. How you doing? Welcome, 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 TikTok family. Welcome, 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 YouTube family. Welcome everyone to our live stream. Now we're going to jump into servitors, and of course, in our community, you get a whole breakdown of servitors and how they work. The ritual for created a servitor. I like the guidelines there, how the Western occult kind of explains and break it down, because of course they were trying to understand our spiritual practices, and a lot of this stuff they got from us. So I like the way they break it down. However, what I found in a lot of the books that talk about mojo bags is just not enough. I feel like there is enough direction or instructions to help people understand mojo bags. I learned about servitors and chaos magic. Exactly. They use a lot of servitors. They use that in chaos magic. I was hearing some lady saying, "Hey, she just created spirit when she has something to do, whatever. She just creates a servitor for that spirit." I also heard one voodoo practitioner talking about how they make laws, and she said, "Oh, they can make laws out of thin air." And she was describing how they do it. I said, "That sounds like a servitor." Okay, so it may be going by different names depending on where you are. You'll see that some of these spiritual concepts is the same, but they're called by different names. You'll see that in Hinduism, they call an altar set up a puja. Okay, they call that pujas. We call it over here in Hoodoo a altar. But it's the same concept. They're just going by different names. That's basically what I'm saying here. Same concept, because in chaos magic look like hoodoo. I don't know why it's named that name like that. Because when you start dating them people using shamanism, they're using ancient spiritual technology such as shamanism and Taoism to create chaos magic. They do whatever they got to do to get the work done. What does that sound like to you? That sounds like hoodoo. They can call it whatever they want to call it, but you using indigenous people mystery system to tap into your magic. That's what you're doing. Now you can call it any kind. See how they just name stuff different kind of names and throw you off, and then you get to looking at that. You be like, wait a minute, this is that. If you think someone put a curse on you, how can you find out? Why would you want to find out? The only thing I would want to do is try to get it off of me. That's the most important thing. I would start doing with vinegar and water is the most perfect, and sea salt is to get it on off. I don't know who did it. I want to keep it off. Okay, and then most people that have a curse, that think they got a curse on them, they don't have no curse on them. They doing stuff to cross themselves up. They saying one thing they won't, and then they doing something opposite of what they say. Okay, you didn't miss anything, Raquel. Welcome, Black Magic Mike. Welcome, 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 all my YouTube family. Okay, and so sometimes you think you curse, but you're not cursed. It's actually, you're not in alignment with what you're saying, or you doing something different, and you saying you want this, but you ain't doing that. So sometimes we can cross ourselves up and it feel like we curse. But if you think that you're cursed, I would already start again. I would start doing my baths and saying Psalms 23, Psalm 27, Psalms 91. I'm sure there's some more scriptures in there that you can use. But I would start that in 3 days in a row. I had somebody come to me that thought they were cursed. I gave them that prescription and told him to do it with 3 days in a row, and he saw relief. So that's what I recommend to you. Okay, it be simple stuff we can do on ourselves, do for ourselves if we're willing to do the work. But you got some people, you can tell them what to do to get the stuff off and everything, and they don't want. I don't like fooling with people like that because if you don't want to do your work, you want a favor from a spirit, but you don't want to do no work. I would just listen to somebody talk about that. You got some people that want you to do all the work and don't want to do nothing, but want spirits help. I don't get it. You ain't gonna get no help like that. You don't want to be healed if you don't want to do no work. If you don't want to do your scripture work, you don't want to call out. You want the spirit to help you, but you don't want to do nothing. That don't even make sense. Okay, scriptures for financial relief. I would do Psalms again. I would do Psalms 57. I would do Psalm 61. I would do Psalm 62. I would do Psalm 65. Okay. So you probably want to look at those scriptures, those chapters. But if you want to know more about Psalms and all that, again, go on our community. But a lot of this stuff you can look it up yourself. Okay. And one thing about hoodoo, I don't think everybody should practice because a lot of people do not like putting in work. Some of you do not like to read. You love to follow people. You do not like to research. You do not like to do your own work. And it's dangerous for you to be following other people and doing what they're doing because you lack the spiritual knowledge and wisdom of things. And so if you know you don't like reading, you don't like looking nothing up, you don't like, you know, learning and things like that on your own, you can't do anything independent on your own, you probably shouldn't be in hoodoo. Okay. And even when you're going to a worker, they're going to probably, if they're a worker, a good worker, they're going to give you work to do as well if they're doing work for you. They're just not going to do it for you. It's something that spirit is going to require you to do as well. And some people don't want to do that. It's crazy to me. Okay. Why would you want to get into something and you don't want to do any independent study? You don't want to do anything for yourself and you follow people. They give you something and it mess you all the way up because that's not what you were supposed to be doing. Hello, Ethel Strength. That's not what you supposed to be doing from the get-go. You don't have no relationship with your ancestors and you doing hoodoo. That don't even make sense. And hoodoo is ancestral. Don't make sense. Don't make sense at all. People do that though. Practicing magic like a mug in their house. I ain't got no protection down. Ain't got no ancestor altar up in there, but they got a big old magic altar in there, and they hexing folks. They doing magic. They doing every damn thing. And then they hit a wall and they get confused. They wonder what's going on. That's what's going on. You started off raggedy. I don't care what you see people do. There's order over here. Just because it ain't no initiation and it's not a religion, there's still order and procedures over here in hoodoo. It does require thought. It does require discipline. It does require order. Okay, that's important for people. Nobody wants to read. They want to. I don't know where. Yes, I do. I know where they got it from. Lord, I know. I'm telling the story. It all started with that Jesus thing, following that man, and then the preacher come. Did you just follow the leader, follow blind, follow, and it's just hello Heat. It just got folks just keep on doing it, Lord, and I just be like, oh God, where's the independent thought? But not saying it's your fault. I'm saying just slow down. We got to unlearn a lot of this stuff. Slow down, okay? So we're gonna jump into Servitors real quick, and I'll try not to keep you long. I have my notes here as usual. We'll go through these notes, and then as usual, I'll give in my commentary. While modern occultists might call this process Servitor creation, the truth is that our ancestors have practiced this spiritual technology for thousands of years, long before the Western world ever gave it time. Okay, so they went into Egypt. You got to remember, Egypt is where we have our most documented spiritual science when it comes to metaphysics. So you got them going on. Bothers me a bit to get a lecture by people who hate the conqueror but follow the same God. Bothers me to get a lecture by people who hate the conqueror but follow the same God. Hey, it is what it is. I don't know what to say about that. I'm perplexed by that. Okay. So again, we already had this technology. We already knew how to enchant things. We already knew that our breath could give life. We already knew that. We know sound is the first thing that gave life. So the term servitor originates from a modern Western occultist, especially chaos magic. Someone mentioned chaos magic, and that's where it comes from. uh, where it refers to an energetic entity created to perform a specific task, but the concept itself is far older than any book or system. Okay, so we were doing this when we were again creating saints. We use this kind of method when we are creating saints, uh, laws. There's a ritual done, sort of like a servitor. I don't know if it's exactly like that, but the concept appears to be almost the same. Okay, thank you, Illuminous. Okay, it appears to be almost the same. Okay, when I was hearing it, I was like, sounds like servitor. Okay, so we have been using this for a long time. Okay. But the concept itself is far older than any book system of ceremonial magic. In African spiritual traditions, the very roots from which hoodoo grows, our ancestors have always known how to charge an object with life and purpose. They created fetishes like the Nkisi, the Mniskisi, sacred vessels that house forces and ancestral energies. These objects serve as mediators between the physical and spiritual worlds, working on behalf of the keepers. The Western term servitor is simply a label for a ancient truth. Humans can co-create spiritual helpers through intentions, ritual, and faith. When Western occultists began exploring these unseen worlds, they developed their own system to create thought forms, egregores, and servitors. Okay, you can kind of see that going on when I talked about the twin flames. Remember me telling you that the twin flame, this concept of twin flames came from them making these archangels, pairing them with the older archei, the feminine, divine feminine angels, this energy. So what did they do? They created a sort of a servitor, a spin-off from the original archaea. That's what happened there. When you're looking at that, that's what's happening there. When they're telling you they created a twin flame, what do you think they're talking about? They went in and did a ritual and created these spirits or these beings, a spin-off from the real original uh energy, which is archaea. I talked about this and broke this down and let you know where twin flames come from. That's where that comes from. So each one of these angels, like Michael has again a feminine counterpart. Bobby Hemmett talked about this because he told you that these archangels have a feminine demeanor. You know why they have a feminine demeanor? Because all their energy is coming from the divine feminine. So they're going to have that feminine looking demeanor because that's where it's coming from. Okay. So when they created these archangels, and when you go to look at this, they're letting you know that the archei are like batteries to the archangels. The archangels, such as Michael, Raphael, all of them, They could not exist without their source. They're giving them energy to live. And this ritual was done by the patriarchs. Are they real? Yeah, they're real. They've been given an assignment to help humanity. Okay. But also, they have been made in the image of the patriarchs to disperse this energy among people. And if you know anything about a servitor, when you're creating a servitor, some people like to and visualize them the way they want them to look and give them specific tasks. And they can only function within that task. They can't go outside of that task. To me, that's why I think some archangels people have trouble with working with some archangels, and some archangels they don't. Now, some archangels were human, and then they became archangels. You'll see that with Saldaphon and Metatron. It is said that they were one of them was was it Melchizedek, and one was Elijah. Okay. So, and I hear a lot of people saying they have great results working with Metatron, which makes sense to me because I was like, he was human once, so he's going to be able to work with humans fairly well versus a angel that has never been human. He's not going to really understand, comprehend, you know, have that experience what you experience because he's an angel. He's never been human. Okay, their job, their function within their attributes and characteristics. That's their job to stay within that. But if you're looking for a sort of a comprehension of the human life experience, archangels might have a little hard time doing that because they've never had a human life. Okay. And I'm not saying that they're not helpful. You get some people that vibe really high and they're able to work with a variety of angels on a higher frequency. But for the most part, what I've seen them all the time, and it usually be men. They vibe really good with Metatron. They want to work with Metatron. You hear see a lot of people want to work with him or Sandophon. Or you have a lot of people that love working with the virtues. The virtues, when you're looking at the virtues, you're looking at the older archangels as well. You're looking at the archaea when you're looking at the virtues. They were the first. I be listening to you at work, Miss Penny, and you have me giggling, calling people raccoons. They yesterday it just tripped me out because they said they egg honey. Hey, Gerald. Hey, Rockadija. Hey, TikTok family. What about generational curses? With generational curses, this is my YouTube family. I'm answering their questions. Raquel said, what do one do about generation curses?" That's all depends on what's going on. Is it a karmic loop? Is it just like an addiction that's repeated in the family? Alcoholism? Is it a karmic loop? Because a karmic loop do feel like a generational curse. Okay, somebody has to wake up out of it. Not everybody can wake up out of it. They have to be willing to wake up out of it. Now, then you have another, you know, form of things that plague the family, and I talked about this. We have a lot of ancestors that went into Freemasonry. I'm gonna break this down again. We have a lot of them that went in and take an oath, and when you go in and take an oath, you are pledging to that lodge. You are not no longer pledging to your family. You're breaking an ancestral tie, and you're bringing curses up in there because now your allegiance is to that lodge. No matter what they do, you have to keep dirty secrets. You got to do dirty stuff. You got to do things against your own family because that lodge come first. And so when they're doing this and they speaking, well, I'd rather cut out my neck and I'd rather gouge out the things that they're saying, they're not only saying it right there in that dimension, you're cursing your whole family down to the fourth generation. So when you're taking that oath, you got your whole generation there taking that oath with you. And most of them, they bring all this stuff on their family because they don't understand ritual because of this ceremony, because they're doing ceremonial magic. And so that how they don't understand, I don't even know if they help these people understand that. They don't understand how these energies are going to interact in their life. And there you go. You got divorce, him being promiscuous. Usually this is what starts to happen. He starts to drinking, he becomes promiscuous, starts sleeping with other women. They get a divorce. All sorts of havoc and stuff start wreaking in the family. Maybe somebody get cancer, they get sick, people get locked up. It's just one thing after another. One thing after another that go, and you can't figure it out, but they're untouched. They're untouched. They remarry and nothing goes on in their new marriage because the curse was put on his children and his wife. Okay, and most of them they're married, they end up getting divorced because they just did some raggedy stuff they didn't understand. But you'll start seeing they be fine. A lot of them be fine, and if you don't watch it, they'll bring them spirits over there to you. I think that's I firmly believe that's what's going on in the church with this raggedy stuff. Because a lot of these ministers are Freemasons, and so a lot of this stuff these people got going on in the church, they prayers ain't being answered and all this other stuff because you got somebody who's blaspheming in the church. Now I firmly believe that this happened because they took hoodoo out the church. When hoodoo was in the church, it was power in the church, but when they put the Freemasons in there, that's when it entered, and it started to enter through prosperity preaching. Okay, so it depends on what kind of generational, curse you got, because you might have some Masons up in there too, and that's gonna take ongoing work. I'm dealing with it too, because I got a grandfather that took the oath. That man 100 years old, and all his children is dying behind him. He looked like he's being restored and rejuvenated every time one of them died. I ain't never seen nothing like that in my life. And all of us grandchildren, we know something. We all of us know it's a curse. We can't pinpoint it until the ancestors started giving me a dream about him when my auntie died. And then it all started. I said, this damn joker then took a damn oath. This damn raggedy person and took an oath. Okay, the ancestors showed it to me. I said, how could I miss that? Okay, I remember it. Then it all started coming back to me, all the stories and putting things together. Sometimes have you ever had your family member told you a story and you didn't understand it, but it wasn't for you it wasn't a message for you right then. The message was for you in the future to make sense of it, but not right then. That's how my ancestors be talking to me. Things that they told me then I didn't understand, and now the message applies. Does that make sense? Well, I ain't. That's something. Okay, and that's why you got them in the boule. What you think that boule is about? They took oaths. Jesse Jackson took an oath. Al Sharpton took an oath. Martin Luther King took an oath. He was right there in the Freemasonry Lodge giving a speech, one of his speeches. They take oaths. That's why these people we're suffering now because they took oaths on us. Their allegiance was to the lodge. A lot of these main religions, and that goes for the Farrakhan Muslim too, is a Freemason. They took oaths. And you think the people that one time didn't take no oath, they not with us no more. Better open your eyes, okay? The people that didn't take an oath ain't with us no more. The people that still you looking at around you, you think, oh, they're a good black leader, they're boule. They taking oaths. A lot of your celebrities are taking oaths. and then doing ceremonies and rituals right there at that concert and sacrificing a lot of people. But because you don't understand the spiritual realm and how rituals and stuff work, how they harnessing your energy to fuel their magic, you play right into it. I just seen a video of somebody. They said they went to a concert. It was like a future concert, and they were projecting something out the pyramids, and it would just look ominous. And they said that it looked like some transhuman stuff. Looked like they were saying they getting rid of humans. The whole I said, and y'all sat there doing that whole concert, and they were using your energy to harness that ritual. So now it might come to pass because your dumb ass sat there and gave energy to the ritual. They get you like that every time in these concerts and stuff too. They get you like that every time. And you know the stuff look weird and crazy, and you stand there. You sit there and yay, jump around and give it your energy, and they harnessing it. You get you are harnessing their magic. That's exactly what they needed. They needed you to jump around. They needed you to engage. They needed you to give energy. They needed you to get their magic and stuff going. And some of us doing it willingly. Every time you go down there and go to voting and all that stuff and get involved with them politics, they're harnessing your energy for their magic. Okay, that's what's going on there. You go to these concerts. Who was that? Who was that? Somebody said Travis Scott at Astro World did that crazy concert, and people started dropping out, dying, and all that stuff. Just crazy. I seen one concert. You can see this dark energy jumping from people to people and stuff. When you see that these people are doing mass, a certain they already they doing it. They just harnessing your energy. Yeah, the way people pass out screaming, etc. There's something that's going on there, but you don't question it. Okay. My local cemetery has so many stones with Freemason symbols on them. I never noticed. Okay. Thought forms egregores. Yes. Black Magic Mike. We're going to get on that tomorrow. Please be here tomorrow, Black Magic Mike, because you're going to keep me straight on that. Because we're going to talk about egregores. So please be in the chat tomorrow. I'm going to need you to keep me straight. Okay. So you have them. You might have to keep doing that work, honey. I constantly have to go to my elevated ancestors and say prayers over over myself all the time. If you have family members that took an oath, and really we all should be doing them because we got these raggedy ass people. I'm sorry, ancestors. We got these raggedy folks sitting up here taking oaths and stuff on us. And then he making us think we for y'all. No, you ain't. Your allegiance to them regular people over there in that lodge. You bow down to that master in that lodge like they your God. Y'all done created a God. That's what y'all did. You didn't like the divine feminine. You a bunch of warlocks getting up in there, a whole bunch of men because you didn't like women and created that. I don't care what you say. It make me a better man. You better find out why you started that crap. Because when you was over there in Hoodoo, the stuff your mama taught you, you was doing all right till you got your butt over there and started doing regular stuff with them folks. I don't care what they telling you. Okay? Wait a minute. Okay. He said, wait a minute. Granddaddy was a Freemason. Daughter of Job. That's not evil. I know 33 Mason. He still look the same. He won't talk to me. Okay. You better do your research in there. Do your research. Listen to these people experiences that have parents as Freemasons and Eastern Stars and things like that. And now that I go back and I look at my family, there was a lot of abuse going on in my family. It's usually a lot of abuse going on, all sorts of abuse. I mean, cruel treatment. It's like something come over them. And my grandpa tried to act like but he those okay, they didn't cut my live stream off. I don't know if y'all can still see me over here because somebody, I don't know if they reported my video or not. I don't know if it's still on. Okay. I started talking about that and they started going crazy on me. So somebody said my visibility is restricted. So I don't know. Okay. So again, um, do your research into that because when you see and you go back and look at Lovecraft Country, because that's what that was about. Them people life was a living hell. Uh when that family was going through hell in that Freemasonry stuff. They shouldn't have never got themselves up in there. Lovecraft Country. They should have never got that. They was doing fine until they started messing with them, trying to be up in that stuff with them folks. They should have went on somewhere and created their own stuff. But now you want to go up in here with these people and do crazy stuff with these people. But if you just would have mind your own business, because the magic was already in you, you didn't need to be around them folks. You just made the situation worse and put people's lives in danger. I know he always stopped me. Don't want to hear it, right? That was not Freemasonry. What was that then? What was that then in Lovecraft Country? That was in the Masonic Lodge. They were in. You need to go back and watch that movie. Lane, go back and watch that movie. Prince Hall Mason. Prince Hall was a Mason. You need to go watch that movie. You missed something there. That was witchcraft, dark magic. Again, I don't care what they are doing that up in there. Now you can make that seem like you want to. You can be in denial about that, but you need to go look at their stuff. They outright tell you in their books what they doing. They telling you what they doing. Okay, they telling you what they're doing. They have to take an oath. They have to take an oath. They have to say, I would rather do this or that before I will divulge what goes on up in here. Will not tell the secrets, da 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 da. I would rather da 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 happen to me before I open my mouth and say da 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 da. Okay? So you can go and keep playing with that if you want to. They're telling you in their books what they're doing. They come right out of there and tell you that they are practicing ceremonial magic. I'm going to dismiss people's experiences with this. People has lost lives because these people are standing up in they're just a whole bunch of warlocks that that you know that did not want to bow down to the divine feminine. So they created their own sort or servitor. It's not even they're getting their thought forms together, creating something totally different. Now you can play with that if you want to. You do your research. I ain't got to prove nothing to you. It's hard to dismiss when you start reading about them. It's hard to dismiss it. Okay, I wouldn't make this up. Okay, I don't care what they doing or what they saying they talk about. You know, it is what it is. So you look at it, and they sit out there and tell you they stole this stuff from women and applied it to themselves and then watered it down. That in itself is blasphemous in itself because you're not even designed to be doing this. This is why it's raggedy now because you shouldn't be doing it. It should be led by the divine feminine. There are clandestine lodges that claim Freemason, but Freemason does not claim them. I don't know what that is. Okay, I just know they up in there taking oaths, and I just know what they I just know they're doing up in there and what they have wrote and what they have said. Okay. They showed at my mother's funeral and did a ritual. Yeah, because they have to do a ritual for if she was an Eastern Star or a Mason, they have to do those rituals when they pass away. And I'm sure they're gonna do one for my grandfather too. But if you got that in your family, a lot of us do. It's ongoing work. We gotta keep on doing rituals on ourselves, keeping ourselves clean and questioning these thoughts that come in our mind. Okay, because some of you, what you think is a thought is really is a spirit trying to uh feed off your emotions, trying to get emotional reaction out of you. Black Magic Mike, did you hear Miss Penny say make sure that you come to the chat tomorrow? I don't know what time though. I'll be here around 8. Okay, so that's what's going on there. And the people in church, I feel sorry for them. They have no idea that this man bringing a whole bunch of raggedy spirits in here, and that these spirits are using him so they can harness these people energy. They're up in the church, don't know why their prayers aren't being answered. Seem like every time they pray, stuff get worse and worse and worse and worse. And they've been going to church, they've been putting their money in the church, they've been listening to the pastor and all this stuff, and they still can't get a breakthrough. And they haven't put it together yet. It's that regular church. Ain't no power in it. Some people harnessing y'all energy like that. Okay? They're harnessing your energy like that. That's what's going on there, but you don't know that. That's why you're not doing, there's no spiritual growth going on there. There's no development going on there. Nothing going on. That man is study hooping and hollering and trying to lock you in a church and take all your money. That's what's going. It's getting more and more, they're getting more and more overt with it. You just seen the man, the preacher. I just saw that before I got on here. He was trying to justify why he didn't want to help the woman that was calling doing a social experiment about this milk for the baby. And talking about, I said, look at that rascal. Y'all just messy and ugly. And then the people up in there, I told y'all what I said now. I don't know what to say about these people. I have to ask, and God, I don't like saying it, but I have to ask sometimes, is y'all the reincarnated coons? Because you act like something wrong with you. He tried to just, in the name of Jesus, nobody come up against the church. Boy, if you don't sit your raggedy self down somewhere, I have to ask sometimes, where do y'all come from to be thinking like that? And then justify it, talking about, and then in the name of Jesus. If that's the kind of God you serve, I don't want to go to y'all church. Y'all God is raggedy. And then you keep putting them on that cross. To me, you want him to stay on the cross unalive instead of serving a living God. Because in that Bible it said, I am a living God. I'm living God. But I think it don't make no sense to me. It don't make no sense to me. Okay. That's true. The church only want money. That's it. This chat has agents in it. It might have, honey. I just got a thing said they just restrict my visibility. When I start talking about Freemasons, they restrict my they say they restrict my visibility. Sure did. Right. Make you suffer and sacrifice to give up your soul. Okay. And people have no idea. And we're gonna go into more when we go into egregores. It's really gonna put it in perspective for you guys and probably, flip your wig and knock your socks off when we go into egregores. These people have they are I can't do nothing but shake my head because of the ignorance. And that Bible was not that scripture in that Bible said, "My people perish for the lack of knowledge." Y'all perishing and don't want nothing up in there. I mean, just like Mr. Smith on the Matrix, you say the wrong thing, they go to contorting, they face go to contorting, and they start acting a fool, and then they will unalive you in the name of Jesus. They will these are the same crusaders. They were unaliving people in the name of these same people, murderous spirits in you. These are same people, and they would justify that. What was her name? Her name started with a P. I always liked her story. I can't remember it. She was in ancient Egypt. She was going to Alexandria. She was a philosopher, and she was very, very well rounded in mathematics. And she did a lot of breakthroughs in mathematics that they use right now today in astrology. And you had a lot of Christians that was going to Alexandria as well, and they were fanatics trying to get everybody in their religion. Is it Hera Falape or something like that? I can't remember her name. It'll come to me in a minute. But anyway, the lady didn't want to do it. Her father taught her everything she knew. And I think I get mad at her dad too, because you knew that these patriarchs was crazy as hell. Okay, and they got mad at her because she didn't believe in that, and she was so smart, metaphysically and scientifically. She was so smart. Them people unalived her. They unalived this woman. All these patriarchs, Abrahamic patriarchs, got together and unalived this woman. in the name of their religion. So I have to ask them, what y'all got going on? What is that thing y'all serving over there? I think her name, I can't remember her name. I think it was Hera Luff. She was the last woman I knew of in that era that was going to a predominant Mansfield University or college in Alexandria, because later ancient Egypt was called Alexandria, and then you have people from all over the world going there to study a lot of their knowledge. I think her name was Hera Funlay, or I'll think about it in a minute. I just don't come to mind right now. So like it start with a P or something, a P or a H. Her name was kind of close to my name. It's just right there in my. But anyway, she was it'd be easy to find her. Okay, it'll be easy to find her. But she went to she was going to Alexandria. A lot of people from there was going there. And they didn't like her. Men were very jealous of her. Her students loved her. Okay? But these patriarchs, these Christian men that were there trying to get their philosophy and theology together, they didn't like her because every time they came up with a philosophy or their theory on theology, she had so much wisdom and everything, she could break that down, and I'm sure that was pissing them off. Okay, was it during the Hellenistic period? Hypatia, that's her name. Hypatia. Go on, thank you, seeker of now. Hypatia. Hypatia, that's who it was. If you go read her story, and I don't think it's never been another like her. I think that what happened to her scared a lot of other women from going in there studying. From the way they did her. I mean, like a dog in the street. They set her up, conspired against her, and unalived her. Okay. Hey, homeschooler. Hey, TikTok family. No, it was Hypatia. And see, her daddy had taught her a whole bunch of stuff. I'm thankful for her daddy, but my thing is, was you crazy? Because you knew y'all, them men was around there was crazy. You knew y'all had just started taking over the world and y'all was doing the stuff to women and children. And the woman should have had some type of protection. And you know that these men had a problem with smart women. You knew that. I don't know what you was thinking about. She should have been better protected. Okay? I liked that her dad taught her, but I didn't like the fact that you knew darn well these men is crazy as hell. And during this time they were enslaving women and children. I'm just gonna keep it real with you. They gonna keep that out they book. They gonna have you thinking the race ride and all that stuff was the only thing that happened to humanity. Now, the first biggest impact was the enslavement and abuse of women and children. Let's keep that real. Okay? Now y'all got me talking about this. That's what happened there. And they keep it going on. And they saying that they're not doing it up in there, but they still doing that to us. So you have to really look at what's going on with your family. Did somebody take an oath? What's up in there? You know, or is this just from the generational trauma that we experience being in a toxic environment? And you might find out it's a combination of both. With some of us, it's a combination of both. So we have to be diligent at being spiritually clean and protecting our mind. Okay, because somebody didn't call these spirits up in our generational line, and so we have to be diligent at watching our mind and watching how we feel and keeping our spaces clean and declaring our sovereignty. Because I had to send that thing back and say I didn't take that oath. Okay, and I send it right back to whoever made it. That's what I said. I did not get to that altar. I say that, honey. I didn't take that oath, and this is not mine. And may it be returned to sender. I didn't take the oath, and I don't stand on it, and I don't want my life touched by it. You have to declare that thing. You hear me? You might have to say it a whole bunch of times doing that ongoing work. But honey, you have to let that thing know it. No, not over here. Now do that, go right back to whoever took that oath and stood and took that oath. That's who you need to be working with. Don't come over here trying to ruin and wreck my life and send it. And sometimes they feel it when you send it back. Sometimes people have sent that thing back and broke that yoke, and before they know it, they got these people they don't even know, Freemasons, coming to their house harassing them. It shocks the hell out of someone because they're just like, "What the hell?" Yeah, they can. Sometimes they can feel it. They can feel it. That's just like when you do a cord cutting on somebody, they can feel it because that person will try to call you back and try to reattach the energetic cord. They can feel you snapping the cord. I did cord cutting on people and tell people, do not, they're going to call you or start coming around after you cut this cord. Do not interact with them. They feel that. They're trying to get that energetic cord back. Do not conversate with them. Do not answer the phone. None of that. This will be ongoing. You have to constantly declare yourself because they steady in these lodges doing these ceremonies and stuff, calling this stuff on their family. It ain't touching them, down. It ain't touching them. They just rising on up. They doing better and better while your life getting more and more raggedy. You see it in the church. Folks, and they ain't got to the point now you want to keep torturing the people in the church. Now you're going to lock them in the church. Now you're going to abduct the people. Then you're going to justify you being raggedy. And then y'all people in church think you really serving God, doing these cannibalistic rituals, drinking this blood and eating flesh or whatever. And then come here to put your mouth on other people. And you have no spiritual knowledge or wisdom whatsoever. You don't even read your book. You like people hollering at you and fussing at you up in the church, humiliating you. That's what you like. And then with us people that are practitioners, spiritual practitioners, try to tell you this, you don't want that. You don't want that. You don't want the truth. You want everything watered down that's a lie, a fantasy, a fairy tale. Your stuff don't even make sense. And you like it that way. Hey, Kosan, you like it that way. Why do they need to do that, Mason? That think that started in when they with their divine feminine. A lot of these men did not want to go bow down to the divine feminine. That's what that witch hunt things was about, taking these women land. That's what that getting rid of these midwives and root workers because there wasn't no doctors at first. Women was doing healing work and all that stuff, outlawing all this stuff. You better open your eyes and see what's going on. They telling you women it ain't about you, but it's about you. Start making some big moves and shit the stuff and getting stuff done and see how pissed off they get. You see what they did to Medusa, what you think that story was about. You got all then the angels coming down doing something to women. Ain't that something? Instead of y'all telling the truth how y'all misuse the signs and you sit there and took advantage of women, now you're gonna blame it on something else. Sounds just like, that's y'all MO. It explains why a lot of men try to compete with women. I'm just gonna tell you like it is. Then gonna have Enoch. He's recording it. I have to look at Enoch. You knew them men did that. You gonna put it in these metaphorical, allegorical terms. No, these were men that went in and invaded our spiritual sciences, start working with these energies and misuse the power, and went in and start again abusing women. Okay, we already told them it don't work like that. That's why everything got to work now. We told them that. We told them that in Egypt when they call themselves Moses. Let me just tell the real story in this real context, not to destroy how we look at hoodoo. But Moses, you learned everything from them Egyptians. Didn't make no sense to me. You can't stand the Egyptians, but all the magic you do come from Egypt. Everything you do is come from Egypt. Even the tree of life. Everything you learn, you wouldn't have known nothing about the spiritual science if it weren't for Egypt. Them people raised you. Y'all folks came there to Egypt because your land was in a famine. We had to feed you. And then you go so far as to take our Ark of Covenant, because that wasn't y'all. That belonged to Egypt. That belonged to the matriarchs. You were trying to steal their power source. And then you went on to write a book and then start marrying these women who were Egyptian priestess. They were spiritual leaders, hierophants, sibyls, prophetesses. But why you think they telling you they marrying them in the Bible? Because they would get no spiritual recognition without marrying these women. Because in the ancient world, it was known that God was a woman. And in order to learn these spiritual sciences, you had to be in contact with a priestess. And if you look close at those women were high priestess. But they ain't going to tell you that, though. They learning everything from these women. That's why when I see them talking, these men talking, I always ask them, what you learn, who you learning from? Because your mama is your first teacher. Where you learning from? I don't want to listen to nothing. Where your mama at? That's what we need to start asking these men when they start talking. Where's your mama at? Because I know you had learned it's a woman somewhere in sight. Because you know wisdom comes from the divine feminine. That's why we don't have to go through a whole bunch of stuff to tap into our intuition. They do. That's why they wrote all these books. It is men, mostly men, writing these occult books on how to interface with the divine. It's more men writing these books than women talking about men. And I ain't man bashing. I'm just telling you what it is. Okay, I don't have a problem with men. A lot of them ain't like that. Okay, not all of them like that. I'm just telling you what it is. Now you can go look that up for yourself. Uh, you know, I don't got nothing to prove here. The proof is in the in the pudding. You do your own research and study. But if you have studied and you research, you've seen a recurring theme with this. They write a lot of cookbooks for them by them. And you'll see the women, they're going to write more of witch books by women for women. You can find more occult scientists over in Wicca than you can over in what they call the occultists. Because a lot of these men, they went in and watered it down and wrote that. There's some knowledge in there that's good. And when they get to talking about how complicated all the stuff they have to go through, that's why you had somebody leaving out of chaos, leaving that occult and going into chaos magic. They just basically said, "Forget this. I'm just gonna do hoodoo." That's basically what chaos magic is. You got somebody breaking away and saying, "Ah, I ain't got to go through all this to do this. I'm gonna go back the old fashioned way." That's what chaos magic is, going back to the old fashioned way, bypassing this other watered down stuff that they got up in the lodge, playing with themselves in denial. Okay, so that's my take on that. That might make you guys upset. I'm sorry, but depends on what you got going on in your family. Take a good look at it, because not only did I have to look at the stuff we inherited from uh the diaspora, but I also had to look at the parts after that when our ancestors in survival mode, making pacts and oaths and doing stupid stuff. Okay, so you got some people like that. You might have that in your family. It's doable, but you're gonna have to be on top of your spiritual regimen and really your self-care. Really watch your mind and your spirit and keep on your spiritual armor. I'm not gonna tell you this easy, because it ain't. Okay? Y- That's what it is, honey. I'm sorry. I sure hate that. If that's what you got going on, I hate that for you, but it is doable. But you got to be willing to do the work. That's what we're dealing with now. When we start doing our ancestors' work, you probably will start running into stuff like that. Okay? It's better that you know than you don't know, and you don't know what's going on, and you just feel like you cursed and really did somebody in your family that did some raggedy stuff and it messed everybody up. It makes a lot of sense. I'm doing deep dive into symbols this weekend. That tells you a lot too. That gives you a lot of information. When you read the book, The Great Cosmic Mother, again, these women, we are starting to put things together now. Okay, if you read The Great Cosmic Mother with the symbols, it'll show give you a whole full picture of things. Okay. Some think I be bashing men. No, I do sometimes bash males that feels that hate men because I am a woman, but I like real men, not males. Okay, I know that's right, Raquel. And I'm not bashing men because a lot of men that came up to this really got a lot of men waking up to us said, damn, I'm men, we need to sit down and let them handle it. Because we're not doing it right. Women, we just need to sit down and let them do it. If you got some men, they've come to that realization. Because if you could have done it right, if you could have fixed something, you have been in power for a little over 2,000 years and you have did nothing but hurt humanity for over 2,000 years. And you have did nothing but wreak havoc on humanity. And we told you this. We absolutely told you that, but you convinced us that now we can do it better. You can chaos, you got this, and here you go. We sat there and explained that to you, but you thought you had a better way. And here you is, now the whole world is in a pickle because you think you can run something and you have no cosmic connection to this planet whatsoever. We told you that. We sat there and told you that over and over again. Hell, for all we know, these aliens y'all call so-called aliens and told you that. All they creating is war culture and capitalism. That's it. So sit down and you ain't gonna save nobody. You can't even save yourself. You're self-destructive. I don't know, even when I go into that, I have to go into who created you. Cause ain't no way you from this planet and you sitting up here wanna push the button and destroy everybody. You creating weapons of mass destruction. Ain't no way you from this planet doing that. I have to look at them and are you really from here? Are you really from here? Because if you was really from this planet, ain't no way you be thinking about pushing a button, destroying the whole thing. Are you something wrong with you? You can't be from here. You can't be. You can't be from here doing stuff like that. I ask them that because they don't make no sense. Okay. Let me get back to the servitors. When Western occultists began to exploring the unseen worlds of their own systems to create thought forms, egregores, and servitors, but in truth, these systems intellectual reflections of something indigenous peoples have always practiced through rituals and relationships. Where Western systems often treat servitors as psychological constructs born from the mind, Hoodoo understands them as spiritual companions. Now you'll see people too. What I've seen as the people, they love these dolls, and I've seen many ancestors do it. And they have these dolls, and sometimes they're generational dolls. They'll pass them over. And sometimes you have ancestral spirits that inhabit these dolls. Then you have some people that make these spirit dolls as companions. That's why when you get your Mojo bag, this is what you're supposed to do. Before you even start using this Mojo bag, you're supposed to be developing a relationship with that. Did you know that? You just don't go right. Okay, you're supposed to be developing a relationship with that Mojo bag for a couple of days and programming and talking to it like it's a real person before you start using it. Did you know that? You don't just go right off using a Mojo bag. Then looking at the energies that you want to use to pour into your Mojo bag. Do you want to work with planetary energy? Do you want to work with angelic energy? Do you want to work with saint energy? You want a saint to help you sanctify the bag and pour energy into it? Or is this something that you're going to be doing? What spirit is going to help you? Are you going to be using a sigil in your bag to make it more powerful? We just talked about sigils and seals. My grandmother loved Oz, and my mother would buy her them all the time. Okay? One lady had a doll. I think she was on YouTube. So Servitors and Hoodoo sent Hoodoo sense is good. It's a relationship between you and the construct. Exactly. Exactly. You got it right. Okay. And I had a lady, it was a lady on YouTube, can't remember her name, but she was on YouTube and she had created a doll. She was singing to this doll. She was talking to this doll, and her doll had started moving. She can even walk her doll. Sometimes her doll will walk. But that is just how much energy and thoughts that she had put into her doll began to move. Now, you'll see a lot of people do this and they will talk to the spirit or the doll through dowsing rods, through yes and no. Okay. Again, and that spirit is sometimes protecting them. Okay, depends on what they are using the doll for. But our ancestors, again, we were bringing things to life. Okay, just like that movie Spell. Remember, she made that doll of that man, and she told him it is you, and she had his hair and his liquids and all that stuff on him. Loretta Devine played in the movie. Okay, and she everything she did to that doll happened to that damn man. That was horrible. It was horrible. It's horrible that movie. I hate they do our stuff like that, y'all. But that's the only example I got. Okay, right now, that's the only thing I can come up with. And everything she did, and even the thing, the doll looked like it was alive, didn't it? Looked like the doll eyes was moving and everything. Okay, so the more you're pouring into your mojo bag or your doll, some people work with doll babies, the more alive it's going to be. So really think about when you're making a mojo bag too. What is your intentions? Because the minute you start stitching and making that mojo bag, you're pouring thought forms in it. You're bringing it to life. And you should be talking to it and be in a place where you cannot be disturbed for a while you focus on that mojo bag. Thoughts is very important. Being able to keep your intentions clear. His name is there. She had him walk. That is Mother Wisdom Tree Dog. Okay. Have you seen Cassandra Sturgis fabric beings? No, I haven't seen that. They are inhabited dolls she creates. They are featured on her YouTube. No, I haven't seen that. Okay. Just like that movie. Remember that movie that has that creep show? That woman was making these little dolls, and all when the slaves died, she was putting they spirit in the body, and they was telling that man spirit in the dolls, and they was telling that man to get out that house, that plantation house, and them dolls tore his butt up. Remember that? Okay, this is real stuff. It happens. Okay, so the more thought forms, the more you treat that doll or that mojo bag like it's a real spirit, the more you talking to it, if you can visualize spirit, just like how John the Conqueror. How John the Conqueror was just a herb at first, but now he has a servitor. He has a spirit now. Now that herb, we have created a servitor, a real spirit now that represents how John the Conqueror the herb. We even draw pictures of it. Gave him a real face and everything, real personality and everything. Okay? This is real. Okay, so the more thoughts you can pour into your thing, and that's what we want. That's what we want. Now you can choose if you want to work with a spirit in doing this. You don't think you're strong enough. You can use a spirit to help you do this, or you can do it by yourself. But it's important for you to know that your thoughts and emotions need to be in there. What is a servitor? A servitor is an energetic entity, spiritual thought form created through focused will, emotion, and intent. In essence, it is a piece of your consciousness given a name, purpose, and a personality to carry out a task. Unlike spirits of the dead or deities of nature, a servitor is not born from a lineage or divine creation. It is born from the magician's imagination and power. That's why I tell you, imagination is more than things. When you going, I don't want to get off topic. Stay on topic, Penny. Okay, thoughts are things. A lot of you people that love fantasy and stuff, it should be easy for you to create a servitor. Should be easy for you to create this. Okay. for some of us. But that's one reason you like the Babylon states that the universe is mental. All is mine. All is mine. Just like money, black magic might say, all is mine. You're not even real here. You're gonna have to change. The, you're gonna hear me say that in our community. The best thing you can have is a strong mind and regulated emotions to get your work going. Ain't nothing gonna shake and move until you get that right. If your mind is all scattered, I have some people come to me, and sometimes I can't do a reading on them because their mind is so scattered. They'll jump from this to this and 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 this. They don't even know what they come to get the reading from. And usually this happens when people go jump from reader to reader a lot. They usually do that. They had so many people in their energy field, and instead of getting in alignment and doing the work, they're crossing themselves up instead of getting these readings and not doing what the reader told them to do. So again, your mind has to be intact. And I know these people are showing you a tiny little spell, and all that you think you're doing something, and then it don't work. You didn't feel the magic. You don't know if there was tags on that magic that was connecting with another spirit, because some people have tags on their magic. They might be working with a sigil or a seal, again, that is harnessing the energy of a spirit. But see, you up here doing stuff, you don't know that. That's why when people be showing stuff, like, don't show them that. Then totally stop showing them that. Let their ancestors show them that, because they might have to do that a different way. Everybody magic don't look the same. I got some people that don't even light a candle. They only work with herbs. You got root people that only work with herbs. You got some people that only work with jars. You got some people that only open their mouth and conjure with a piece of paper in their mouth. You got some people that go into meditation, they can shift some stuff around. Everybody magic is different. So and if they're not tapping into their own stuff, and you're showing them stuff, that's not probably what their ancestors want for them. Their ancestors probably just want them to sweep the floor or something, do something simple. And if they're beginners, they're not supposed to be doing that type of advanced stuff in the first place. It's supposed to be simple, and when they grow, the magic will advance. They will incorporate more things. They with their beginning, they shouldn't be doing that because they don't understand the workings of it. I wanted to ask you yesterday, is it bad to get readings from different readers? Yes. It should be one particular readers, you should stay with a different, the same reader. If you find your reader and they're pretty good to you, then I would recommend staying with that same reader. Okay. It's just like you got somebody doing spiritual work for you. If they're helping you like that, it's best to stay with them instead of having these different people tapping into your energy field like that. I don't recommend it. Okay. And all readers, you got to really vet your readers and your practitioners. I wouldn't get a reader that wasn't good at healing. If you reading, and I'm sure if you're a long time reader or tarot reader, and you've been doing readings for people, you can speak to this. After a while, you've been using your tarot cards, or you've been dividing for them. You're gonna start healing people. That's what's gonna happen. A tarot reader gonna start healing people. You're gonna turn into a counselor. You're gonna turn into a therapist. That's what's gonna happen there. You're gonna start shifting people consciousness. People gonna start purging and crying and start feeling light when they leave you. You're gonna turn into a healer. Some people won't come back. You can tell when they heal because they'll come back again and be like, Miss Penny, I happy to Miss Peanut. My reading was so good the last time. A lot of stuff shifted out. I want to do another reading. Okay. I don't like to see them keep coming back. I don't like to see you keep coming back to me for a reading because that let me know you ain't doing what you're supposed to be doing. You're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. You're trying to avoid doing something the spirit told you to do. Now you coming back over here because if you did what the spirit told you to do, you wouldn't keep coming back over here with that. Okay? Ain't nothing gonna change until you change. The reading ain't gonna change until you change. But you have people, going from different reader to different reader, different reader, different reader. You can get yourself messed up like that. And some of these readers, some are not as experienced. So I don't know how much helpful information you're gonna get if you run into a reader that's not experienced. And sometimes we tell y'all, because I told you I had a young lady, she went to astrologer, told her, looked at her numbers and everything, told her, hey, this ain't gonna get right until you get right. The astrologist told her that. It seemed like the baby should have did what they told her to do and get it right, but no, she gonna try to backdoor and see can she come to me and see if I can see something else. I had never seen so much karmic past life stuff in my life in a reading. I said, "What the hell?" And I got to talking to her, and she said, "That's what the astrologer told me that the same thing." I said, "Well, why would you? What did you think I was gonna say? Did you think I was gonna say something different?" That's what the spirit says. She thinks she gonna try to outsmart the spirit. She gonna try to backdoor this, but she gonna have to do this work to see shifts that she want in her life. But she don't want to make those choices. And I wanted to help her. Okay, but then said, "No, you got to let her go like that." I said, "What? Yep, you gotta let her go. That she not interested in healing. That's not what she want. She want a loophole. But she came here with this. This is in her star. This is the work that's already embedded in her star. This is in her energy field. She has to do the work. There's no back door to this. There's no loophole to this. She has to really do the work. And she was not ready for that. Okay. She was not, I had to let her leave out that door like that. And I did not want to do it, but I had to let her go. So who made the dolls? They came alive. Tales from the Hood, the Puppet, and the Hoodoo Witch. Yep. Who was talking to me about Annie Palmer? Somebody told me to look up Annie Palmer. I hope they in here. Honey, girl, I could have did without knowing about her. That's a prime example why you shouldn't be teaching people when that voodoo is when these place things need to be closed. 'Cause somebody taught that woman that thing, and this woman was just doing regular stuff to our ancestors, and her nanny taught her voodoo. Can you go in depth about star, please? You're a star. Okay, you're a star. If you probably want to go back and watch my old video on astrology, you can watch it on my YouTube channel. Okay, that's why you like your natal chart. That's why you're looking at it. Bobby Hemmett already described that to you. We have the same elements as stars. We have the same elements of this physical reality. Truly, you are a star. Why you think you're going by your birthday? Okay, that's the energy that you hold with inside you. You are the soul is a star. The soul is a sun. The soul is a star. I think you need to ask that question differently. How to stop people from casting a spell on a star? I don't understand that question. I am new to spirituality. What do you think of Goddess Lilith? Does Lilith align with Hoodoo? I wouldn't be doing nothing without my ancestors telling me to do it. I wouldn't be fooling with Lilith or none of that until my ancestors tell me to do it. I wouldn't be talking to no other spirit. If I'm not talking to my ancestors, I'm not talking to no other spirit. I'm not going over to work with another spirit without the consent of my ancestors. I would ask my ancestors that. That's just me. And so when we think about hoodoo, you probably want to be thinking about ancestors and not other spirits. I don't know why people do that. Don't please don't do that. Please don't skip over the ancestors just to go to talk to Lilith and you ain't talk to your folks. I think that's disrespectful. Talk to your folks first and see they probably don't even want you doing that with her. They probably got something else for you. What you want for yourself, they may not have, they probably got something better for you. Okay? That happens. If you're coming in contact with your ancestors, that can happen. You may not even know them, but they know you. I would start documenting what's the dreams about, because it could be a message in there. Okay. So let me go on with servitors. I love me some you, Miss Penny. Hey, Adagio Abraham. Hey, who made dolls? They came alive. Okay. And so you can do the same thing with if you're interested in creating dolls, and some people do. Some people, I see this more in women than I do men that create these dolls, companion servitor dolls. Okay, so I see that a lot in women. Okay, so if that's something that you want to do, again, you're gonna have to sit down, take the time, and start programming your doll and developing a relationship with it, and even go to the point as of creating a name. Even for your mojo bag need to have a name. You need to know the name of your mojo bag. You need to name it and everything. Picture what you wanted it to do. Visualize what you want it to do. Okay, a lot of visualization needs to go into that. Naming the doll, and then talk. I mean, naming the doll or the mojo bag, and then carrying taking the mojo bag. You should be sleeping with that mojo bag. You should be talking to that mojo bag. There should be a relationship with that mojo bag for a few days, charging it up, talking to it. Okay, and then deciding what you want to feed it. Now that can vary depending on what your bag is for. Some people feed it whiskey, rum. Some people use fragrant waters. Some people use conjure oils. So again, depending on what your bag is for, you would need to feed it. Okay. So there needs to be an ongoing feeding that's going on with the mojo bag. Again, it needs to go on with the doll too. At some point, coming up with how you're going to feed it, how you're going to charge it. Okay, that's gonna vary from person to person. I need to go. Good night. Good night, Kosan. Okay. So again, you're gonna infuse it with your breath, your thoughts, and other magical systems. Servitors are often seen as psychic constructs or magical assistances. However, within hoodoo, servitors take on a more spiritual ancestral tone. They are infused with life through prayer, breath, herbs, candle work, and personal energy, bridging ancestral spiritual tradition, folk magic, and practitioners' own soul power. And so they have watered it down a little bit for themselves to just focus on the thought form. And so when you look at the occult as well, and one thing I want to say about the occult really tried to remove what they thought what was primitive to the mystery science. And they tried to make it all about mind without some of the elements that our ancestors use. Okay. Such as figures and fetishes and things like that. They felt like that was primitive. But when they gained the concept mentally of what we was doing, then they began to water it down, okay, and start to use their mind, just focus on ceremonial magic and focus on their thoughts. Okay, they made some good progress with this. I'm not saying that they didn't. Okay, but that didn't work for a lot of them because you got a lot of them that left out of there and said, I don't want to do all that. It made it more complicated. They just made it more complicated. They did a lot of intellectualizing the practice instead of feeling the practice and let it come to them. They did a lot of intellectualizing. So you have them doing a lot of intellectualizing in a lot of these books. Okay, because they didn't understand it. So what do? You start intellectualizing it. Okay, versus when you read a book written by a witch, you can really tell a difference. And when I do not like the term witch because they done made it something bad. When a witch write a book, they're gonna again they're gonna include. It's not gonna just be about the mind. They're gonna include the emotions and stuff too. They're gonna include your own intuition. Versus when you read a book that's written by a man in the occult, because he doesn't understand this, because coming from the divine, the feminine, he has to intellectualize a lot of this to understand it. Did that make sense to you? It was from the Tales from the Hood puppet about a hood witch that made puppet dolls that could come alive in the movie. Yep, that was what it was about. When that woman was making those dolls and putting those slave spirits into it. Okay, so this is very real. I used to wonder why my grandmother would always take a doll from each one of the girls in our family. She would have these dolls hanging on her wall. It never made sense, but we all would have to give her a doll we got for Christmas. Our first doll. Never made sense then. Little did I know, they was they was working. You know what I'm saying? My grandma was doing some type of work with those dolls, but it had to come from her grandchildren. It had to come from her grandchildren. So she was working with those dolls and she was hanging the dolls on the wall. Each of us had a doll on the wall. So she had our doll on the wall. It didn't make sense then, but now that I'm old, I'm like, oh my gosh, they was working, they was doing hoodoo, and I didn't even know it. Okay. Servitors in Hoodoo tradition, Hoodoo root workers and conjure doctors have long created spiritual helpers using dolls, fetishes, mojo hands to house command spiritual forces. In this way, a servitor in Hoodoo may not always be called by that name, but the principle is the same. Whether it's a spirit doll, a charm bag, or a ritual talisman, the practitioner breathes power commands it commands it with intention, and awakens it as a living extension of their will. Now you're going to see that with sigils, because you're getting ready to get sigils too. We're going into sigils as well. You can see that with sigils. You can see that with dolls. You can see that with mojo bags, and you can see that with charms. We're not just doing stuff, we're using our mind and intentions and our mouth to breathe life into some of these things, even talismans. It takes focus. Okay. Thank you for clarifying that, Miss Penny. Intellectualize versus emotionalize it. I mean, you got to feel it. Like I was in meditation the other day with my ancestors. And you will feel that if you're talking to spirits. Sometimes spirits don't show you an imagery, they'll give you a feeling. And all of a sudden I have this great feeling that come over me in meditation. Okay? And I'm like, okay, that ain't me, that's them. Okay? So you don't understand the language of spirit. Sometimes we miss messages. And even when you're doing your work, it's not enough just to think about it, but to feel the work, to move it along. Because what is it called? Emotions. And what did it do? Putting things in motion. It does. You have some people say, "I did it, but I didn't feel it." You know what I'm saying? So you got to be able to feel your magic, because a lot of energy. Again, this is how a lot of these people are harnessing your energy to trigger you to get emotional reaction. Why? Because they're getting the energy. They're harnessing your energy. And so once you know how to regulate your emotions and you know how to trigger your own emotions to do your magic, you'll get better results. Does that make sense? Men have been taught to suppress emotions. Yes, I love the way you connect the dots. Okay. They'll tell you that you have to be able to feel it. Even when you're saying the affirmations, it's not enough to say the affirmations. You got to feel that I am powerful. I am powerful. You got to say it with some feeling. That's why acting is so important. You heard Taraji P. Henson say, she said, our chakras be wide open. Why? Because they take on that whole character, that person, mind, body, and spirit. They take on that song, the whole character. Sometimes the character be so strong, it's hard for them to break the damn character because that whole spirit it took over them because they became the character. You see what happened to Heath Ledger when he played the Joker, and everybody kept warning him about that character. Everybody kept telling him, be careful with this character because this character is real. That spirit of that character is real. And what happened to Heath Ledger? Yeah, I've heard of Iyami. I think that it's a Ifa priestess, if I'm correct. Okay. So feeling the work is important too, because a lot of these spirits you'll feel a certain kind of way. I've heard people say, I called on the archangel and then I felt this presence in the room. I felt this loving presence. And you have some people that are clairsentients. They can feel very good and they be on target, especially empaths. A lot of empaths, they probably won't see anything, but they can feel the energy in the room. And I felt it in the room. They know they have come in contact. So having your feelings and stuff together, because a lot of these spirits gonna be talking to your mind and your emotions. Okay. And so you got people now that's manipulate your mind and emotions, giving these spirits free reign to harness your energy. But once you start regulating your emotions and controlling your mind, you're taking your magic back. Because you got people misusing your stuff. They're misusing your mind and they are triggering your emotions to harness them for their own magic. But you don't know this though. Okay. That's why they do some of the absurd stuff. They have people all in the uproar. They do stuff to trigger people and get you upset. I kind of think that's what that man doing over there, the orange head man. I think that's what he's doing. I think he is purposely pissing people off and then harnessing uh that that energy to strengthen his magic to keep doing regular stuff. That I know it don't make sense to you. I know it don't. That's the only way. That's why I think about it. That's why I think about it. You doing that purposely to piss people off, doing the stuff that you do, so you can get an emotional reaction, trigger people, and you can use that energy for whatever you're trying to do. That's really what a narcissist does. Okay, because they're your narcissist. They're harnessing your energy to feed off of to do what they want to do. Because they can't get that from themselves. They can't do it on their own. They can't harness their own uh, emotional energy. So again, they have to look for it out of other people. They have to feed off other people because they copy everything a person do, and it makes a lot of sense. I agree. Okay. And speaking of spirits, I know an older professor who interviewed Toni Morrison about Beloved back in the day. She said Beloved came to visit her one night. I'm telling these characters they come true. I've seen a couple of movies where these authors are writing books and the characters come alive. I think Johnny Depp wrote had a movie like that where he was writing this character and this character came to life. Okay? You see what happened? These people they be acting. What show they was on? Was that Sinners and they said a whole bunch of crazy stuff start happening? No. There was that Tyler Perry movie. That Tyler Perry stuff movie. The dog died, all sorts of stuff dying, and all that stuff happened too when they filmed Exorcist. Happened too when they filmed what was that? The Damien movie. Okay, because what they're doing, they're conjuring up there when you're doing that. When they're acting and all that stuff. That's why I say when you go to your altar, you should be acting. Sometimes I say I be doing too much, but that's what you need to be doing. It should feel like play. It should feel like acting. That's what's making it real. And so they have did a lot of these horror shows, um, and conjured these spirits because that's what they doing. And a lot of people have uh passed away because they have did these sort of movies playing with these sort of energies. They end up passing away, you know, just like the girl played in Poltergeist. That little girl is gone. Okay, you should be very careful these characters that you're playing because again they're drawing in some of these energy. They're calling on these energies. Okay, Miss Penny, I get it now about the males bashing, hating women. Yep. Okay, so you have to be careful, because they be harnessing these energies, and they well aware of that. See, they knew that when Tyler Perry did that movie, they automatically got a preacher up there. They got a minister that they know they was gonna go on spiritual warfare making that movie like that. Cause you calling these demons, you're calling on a demon, so you know what you have to do. I'm telling you, when you call them, they're gonna talk to you telepathically. You're conjuring that, so you acting like the demon. The demon is gonna come in there. That's what you're doing, acting to get the demon's attention. And the demon see that you getting his attention by acting, they're gonna come there. They attracted them there by acting. That's why all that stuff happened on that set. Because you have been playing with those energies there. Okay? There's playing them people be more in the act. This acting is that's why when you go, it's called sympathetic magic. That's why we sit up there and we act like what we want. We talk about what we want. We're calling it in there. We're acting like it. So when you're acting like that and putting stuff on your altar and intentions of pursuing a certain sort of energy to help you, that's what's going to happen. And they were doing that acting like that. And you seen that stuff. Them people said all that stuff was happening on that. Go look at some of these backstories of these people creating these horror movies, and they're gonna tell you all kinds of crazy stuff was happening on that set. You know that Tyler Perry movie? What's that? Deliverance? Is that the name of the movie with Glenn Close in there? I thought that was a Tyler Perry movie. Or is it Daniel? Is it a Daniel movie? What's his name? I'm probably saying the wrong person. His name was Daniel something. He did some movies with Monique. Okay. I forgot the man. Seemed like it started with a D or something. Okay. He did that movie Deliverance. Channeling, harnessing energies. Yep. So these people are channeling this energy. She's channeling that demon. Okay. So when Glenn Close is sitting up there acting like a demon, and she probably said somewhere in her mind, I lost myself there. Just like Denzel Washington when he played his part, I forgot that movie he played in. I think it was a Civil War movie. He sits there and say he went in there and channeled the spirits. Denzel Washington tell you that. He said I went in there and channeled the spirits. I said that and I talked to the ancestors. And I channeled the spirit. When I came out, I was him. Lee Daniels, that's his name. Lee Daniels. He the one that wrote that movie. And I don't even want to talk about what happened on Sinners. I don't even want to talk about, I bet it was some stuff that happened on that set with all that channeling that was going on there. Cause they be channeling, I'm telling you. And you go back and you watch some of these movies, and these people, because they usually do like a backstory of what happened in the movies, and most of look, this is crazy. We started doing this movie, and this crazy stuff started happening on the set. And this that we had to call this in and call that in. You will hear. I've heard too many of them say that because they are channeling, they are acting, and you and you go to channel these spirits. And Denzel Washington had talked about it. He said, "I don't know what came over me." You've heard people say he go into something, they be like, hey, 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 he in character. Because they like he become a whole different person. They become that person. Same thing with possession. No different. Same thing with possession. Do the same thing in voodoo. Same thing. They're doing it on your face, in front of your face on the screen. That why you think it be so real to you? Why do you think it be so real to you? You get all into it because they are channeling. Okay? Yep, Lee Daniels. They are channeling. That's why when you go to your altar, you get the acting and all that stuff. I had one follow up here. She said if she go to her altar, she have full church. She be calling down the elevated ancestors and all the work she do, but she's calling them down. She said it takes her so much energy. Why? Because she's channeling that energy and she's calling them down. They doing something spiritual right there in front of your face, right there on TV, calling it acting. They're calling it acting, but they're channeling. What they're calling acting, we call channeling. Okay? Same thing, no different. So you have to be careful. And two, when you're doing work like that, you know, uh, especially when you go into demonology, I have to tell people this. These spirits gonna talk to you telepathically. And so when you open up that door to that, and your mind ain't strong enough, and this spirit go to sharing certain things, and you ain't saying, "Hey, I just want to do this. Don't tell me all of that." And they see your mind is weak, you got people that go crazy because they don't know how to control their thoughts, and they don't have good boundaries in their physical life. So you know they ain't gonna have good boundaries in their spiritual life. So now you can't control this demon. He know you can't control him. He gonna bring other demons in here. He probably help you good with a hex work, and you did it so good. Now that's all you like to do is hex and curse people. But the residue residue with somebody leave you hateful or jealous or something like that by keep on working with that energy. That's why I have to look at people crazy and want to keep doing stuff. Is it channeling when you acting like a person that's still living? Uh, hmm. I don't know. Is that destiny swapping though? You want to be like them? Say it louder for the boys in the back. Okay. Is that destiny swapping? I remember one time I had got my hair done. This cute little ponytail. It was a spike ponytails when they had the little spike ponytails. I said, I'm gonna get that spike ponytail and I'm gonna get like the little spike bang. It was something different nobody else had. And so I went and got my hair done like that. And then the next day my cousin went and got her hair done. And it looked just like my hair. And I was like, why would you go get your hair like that? She was just laughing. It was so scary to me because it reminded me of single white female. And she was just laughing. She thought it was so hilarious. I said, that's not funny. Why would you go get your hair exactly like mine? That's scary. I mean, out of all the hairstyles you could have got, you got your hair like mine? I was just it was just scary to me. Then I've seen I had family members buying cars like mine. They would be looking for a car like mine. Or they would see something that I have and buy it was just crazy to me. I was like, why would you do that? Why would you go buy the same thing I got? That's what it was. Secret of no. Now then my mind wasn't like that. I wouldn't think my family was like that, but that's what it was, secret of no. Okay. It's ominous when people do that. It just tripped me out how they was doing that. Or they'll come to my house and they'll take a item of mine and that item get circulated to everybody in the family. I'm like, ain't that my bracelet? Yeah, I got it from your house. I was in your bathroom. Then I go over somebody else's house. Ain't that my bracelet? Yeah, I got it from so and so. She came in over here. She told me it was yours. I asked, can I borrow it? I was just like, why y'all recycling my stuff like that? You took my stuff from my house, and now all y'all wearing my stuff. I don't even want. I don't even want it back no more. Okay, I don't even want to. I don't want it back. You can have it. Or wear your shoes. You sure don't want them wearing your shoes, honey. You sure don't want them wearing your shoes. You sure don't want to share your shoes with nobody because they walk. They're gonna try to take your destiny swap. Walk in your shoes. Okay, so you have to be careful about stuff like that. You have to be careful about, is they trying to destiny swap with you, acting like you, talking like you. It trips me out. It just trips me out when people do that to me. I've seen that with family members, and I was always perplexed. I'm like, "What you doing?" What? I was always perplexed by that. I never understood it because I'm like, Why are you doing this?" You know. Excuse me. So and now it makes sense that I've gained more insight. Okay, folks is probably trying to be me. I had no idea. I just thought it was creepy. It just reminded me of single white female. So I didn't like it. I knew something was off. Okay. So be careful with that. These people are not just acting. And when you are coming in contact with these spirits, whether it be, your ancestors, the saints, or angels, most of them are going to speak to you telepathically. And then when you're opening up yourself to, and just like we have explained this, you're opening up that part of yourself too when you're giving yourself permission to talk with these certain spirits. Okay, and if your mind ain't strong, don't mess with this, especially when it comes go into working with the goetic spirits and demonology. Amen. My mom gave me some shoes, and I was kind of skeptical about it, and my feet swelled up really bad after I worn them, and they clears up the voice too. Okay, they will talk to you. Okay, so these demons, they will, and when you hearing people talking to spirits, they're talking about telepathically. And because you don't know how spirits talk and you don't question thoughts that come in your mind, you think these are your thoughts. But some of them don't be your thoughts. There's a spirits trying to communicate with you. And sometimes your ancestors are talking to you in thoughts and imagery in your head, and you think it's coming from you, but it's coming from the spirit. Had an encounter like that in high school. Females started dressing like me, haircut like mine. See, that's scary. That's scary as hell. Like, why is you doing that? You got your own stuff. You got your own style. Why you trying to be like me? Be like you. You know, it's spooky when you see it. It's spooky when you see it. So again, when these spirits are talking to you, they're gonna be talking to you in your mind, and you probably be getting messages. That's why I be telling y'all to get somewhere and sit down and be quiet. Your ancestors been talking to you. You won't be quiet. You always running your mouth. Be quiet. Sit down. No, you don't need to go to work. You don't need to go find nothing to do. You don't need to be gossiping with them people. You don't need to be talking to them on the phone. You need to get yourself somewhere and sit down and be quiet. That's the issue. Okay. And then when they tell you to do something, don't write it off because you think it's too hard to do. That's what you're supposed to be doing. They telling you what to do, but then you think to yourself, that's too hard to do. I ain't gonna do that. That's what they want you to do. And then you come to somebody like me, and we repeat exactly the thought you had in your mind. You be like, I thought about that. That was them telling you to do it. And now you come to me and they telling me to tell you to do it. I thought I was making it up. No, you weren't making it up. They really wanted you to do that. I didn't know they wanted me to do that. Yep, that's what they wanted me to do. Well, dang, yeah, dang. Okay. You think they was gonna be telling you everything that you wanted to do? No. This is about your spiritual development and growth. This ain't about you being comfortable. They're gonna take you out your comfort zone. You're gonna be doing things you're not comfortable with. That's to grow you. And then they gotta earn your trust. You gotta earn their trust because they got to know when they tell you to do something for your own growth and development, that you gonna do it, and that you ain't gonna use it in a malicious way. Them spirits be testing you. Okay. They probably, you been waking up probably at 3 or 5 o'clock in the morning. You been asking them, "Oh, I want to talk to you. I want to know how to do this." And they done woke you up at 3 or 5 o'clock in the morning. You went right back to sleep. That was them. You waking up at between the hours of 3 or 5 o'clock in the morning. You talking about you want to talk to your ancestors. They waking you up, but what you doing? Going right back to sleep. You better get up. That's the time. That's the best time to talk to them. Stop going back to sleep. You can stay up 15, 20 minutes. Believe me, you're gonna get that energy back. You're gonna feel better. You're gonna feel shifts. I know you that sleep be so good, but you're gonna have to get your butt up between 3 and 5 o'clock. That is the time that they waking you up. Or your headgear. Okay, they waking you up. They been waking you up, and you getting up. I don't know why I'm getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I don't know why I'm waking up at 4. They waking you up. That's them. And you, why am I waking up? How come I can't go back to sleep? Go outside. Go post some libations. Start praying. Get you a pen and paper and see what's coming up in your mind at the time. Okay, that's what you need to be doing. Not going back to sleep. Okay. What about when you see random things on the wall, like a swarm of flies when you're asleep? Have woke up in the vision. You seeing flies? I just don't take that as a good sign when you're asleep, but woke vision. Write down the vision. What is it about? What are you seeing? Sometimes when you start writing down this stuff, your intuition is already it'll start coming up with answers. Your hand will just start moving and you'll start answering your own questions. See, you're asking people on the outside of you that they have the answers. Guess where the answer is? In you. But you're not asking yourself. And if you sit down long enough, it's gonna trip you out. You're gonna automatically start writing down the answer. You're gonna be like, oh my God, how could I know that? Because you ain't sitting down long enough to ask yourself questions. You think the people outside you got the answer. But if you sit down long enough with yourself and ask yourself, why am I doing this? Why is this vision coming up? Your ancestors will take your hand and use your intuition and have you writing that down, and you will come up with the answer. But as long as you believe in you can't do it and you think somebody else better than you and you can't talk to your ancestors, you ain't gonna do it. You blocking yourself, you crossing your own self up. And then you get mad when people make a fool of you because you don't listen to people like me. You think that I'm sitting up here making it up. You want somebody to stroke your ego, or you want somebody to worship, so you go follow them people. Then they make a fool out of you and convince you that you ain't got no power because you putting all your energy into them. And then you sitting up looking crazy. Then you think to yourself, I should have listened to Miss Penny. Yeah, you should have listened to me. I'm telling you, I'm giving your power back. It's already in you. What you looking at other folks for? They ain't no better than you. They got to talk and talk to their ancestors same way you do. They ain't no better than you. I got to get you to looking like that. I got to get you to seeing that. Because they got you thinking that you can't do it, but you can. And you can do it, but you won't sit down somewhere and be quiet. Stop looking at people. Stop looking at folks. I think I need a house cleansing. You probably do. Okay? You can do it. Stop thinking somebody else better than you. They more psychic to me. No, they're not. Get that out your head. And see, you sitting up fooling with me, I'm gonna be sitting you down, slowing you down, telling you to be quiet. Okay, that's what need to happen. They had me getting up at 2 years at at that time and telling me to go for a walk. Look at Black Mate, they would get you up. They got me up at 5 o'clock this morning. I've been getting up late for the last 2 or 3 days. And so I was trying to get in bed early last night. But it didn't work that way. It didn't work that way. I said I'm gonna get in that bed for 10 o'clock tonight, but it didn't work that way. I got tied up doing other stuff, got my meditation going, and And all that stuff. I said, "Oh Lord, ancestors, I still ain't doing what I'm supposed to do." I feel so bad because I said I was gonna be in bed at 10 o'clock so I can get up at least by 4 a.m. I said I ain't gonna be able to get up. I'm just not closing my eyes, just not getting sleep at 11:30. You know, honey, I got up this morning. My eyes popped up at 5 o'clock. Just open up. They said get up. I said get up. Don't you go back to sleep? Not a 15 minutes, not a 20 minute. Get up and go out there and start pouring those libations. You said you want to get up. You scared you weren't gonna get up. You up now. We got you up. Drug myself right on outside, walk down there by my favorite tree, and start, saying my prayers and doing my libations. Okay, they will get you up. Your eyes gonna pop open. You ain't gonna be able to go back to sleep. You gonna go back to sleep. That's them. And I know you get mad, but like, oh, I can't go back to sleep. That's them. You don't know what you should be doing. If you can't do anything else, like Black Magic might go for a walk, do some automatic writing, or start pouring some libation, asking them what they want you to know, and sit there and wait and keep your mouth shut. And whatever comes in your mind, write it down. That's them. Okay, it ain't gonna be like on TV with people spinning their head around and embodied voices. It ain't gonna be it ain't gonna be like that. It's nothing like that. I think the only time I had a disembodied voice happen to me, I think I was in the States and I had made a promise. I was trying to get some heal my body because I had shoulder syndrome, and I was calling on the angels to help me exercise and get some of that trauma moved out of my body, to sweat some of that stuff out of my body. And I was getting up every morning, and this particular morning, I tried to sleep in, and I rolled over to go back to sleep. And I heard this voice in my I wasn't scared though. It's never scary for me. They never scare me. Okay. I heard this voice say, "Get up." I said, "What?" I said, "What?" And then I just got on up. It was just as clear as they said, "Get up." And I got on up. Okay. And I did what I was supposed to be doing. So if they're waking you up, it's gonna be subtle, but it's gonna be profound. Okay, they're not gonna do anything to scare you. It didn't scare me at all. Okay, and I'm a scary person. When it comes to stuff like that, I'm kind of a scary person. But I've also, I have agreement with my spirit guides. Don't do anything to scare me. Okay. And I think the energy that they bring is so calming. It doesn't, now you have some spirits that would scare you, just the presence of them being in your presence. Like I went to the plant kingdom and they were scary to me. Boy, the plant kingdom is scary. They don't play. You hear me? Them roots and herbs and stuff. Have you ever visit that spiritual realm before? They don't play. Okay, they were scary to me, and I was with my ancestors. And my ancestors, like, baby, they ain't gonna hurt you. It ain't gonna hurt you. But they were so matter of fact. Now that's the only thing that scared me is when I went to the plant kingdom, because the vibe, the strength that they have. You can feel that potency in their energy. And they are a matter of fact. When they come to you, they don't do a lot of shucking and jiving and playing with you. I don't know if you ever been there, but that's how now they are the only spirits that kind of scared me when I went to go visit them. I was like, wait a minute now, this is kind of y'all kind of scary, and I was hiding behind my ancestors. They was like, he just want to talk to you, girl. Okay. But those are the only one, and even it wasn't scary, they're just very stern. And they have to be like that, like the ancestors told me, because people are passive of them. So, you know, the the plant kingdom, they're very matter of fact, very stern and in your face, and they want you to understand the ecological system, their ecological system, and have a deep respect for them. That's how they dealt with me. I don't know about everybody else, but that was my experience. Okay, that's the only thing that I felt intimidated by was the plant spirits. The plant spirits really, because they're very powerful. Okay, and when you go there, the energy there is so grounding and so surreal. So that was the only thing that really had me concerned, was talking to plant spirits. Right. They was like, put on your shoes. Yep. Okay. And they'll have you like that. And this might go on for a little while. You have, especially depends on what you're asking them to do for you. This might go on for a little while, then waking you up between the hours of 3 or 5 o'clock in the morning. This might go on for a little while. That's why I said people telling you about initiation that's going on. They're trying to initiate to these religion. I'm telling you now, the initiation start when you start doing what spirit tell you to do. When you start coming in contact with spirits, that's the initiation process. That's it. When you make contact and you start doing what those spirits want you to do, that initiation has started. Okay, this might go on for 3 to 5 years. And I know what they're telling you to get over there, but even when you're getting over there into voodoo or Ifa, they're going to give you books to start setting up to start doing these rituals so you can come in contact with these spirits and start aligning your life. Same thing I'm doing over there. I'm going to get you over there. Start doing your rituals with your ancestors. Start getting you understand ancestral veneration. Start doing you to get the character work, which is shadow work, aka ancestors work. Same thing. They're going to be doing the same thing. Same thing I'm doing over here. Same thing we just because it's hoodoo don't mean we don't do that. We do the same thing. It's still a ATR. It's probably ain't no initiation, but once you start doing what you're doing, the spirit's gonna automatically start initiating you if you're doing what you're doing. And I can tell who's making progress over there in my community because they'll start hitting me up. They'll start having experiences and stuff. They be like, Miss Penny, da 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 da. I'm like, okay, that's normal. They be like, yeah, it is. I'm like, yeah, you're doing it right. That's why they coming up in your dreams. That's why you having that experience. Keep doing it. Amp it up. You know, amp it up. You're doing what you're supposed to. I'm so glad you shared the experience with me. Keep going, baby, because you're getting results. You're making progress. Because if you're consistent in your rituals and stuff, they're either gonna start coming up in your dream. You're gonna have an experience doing that ritual. Something is going to happen. They got to come. They got to come if you petition them. If you're consistent with your ritual, you think that they're gonna come the first time when you call them. I don't know who you think you is. You ain't called on no spirit to help you never in your life, and you think they just supposed to come when you call, and you ain't been serious about nothing. This the first time you decide to get serious about something. You want them to come running. Uh-uh. They watch you for a while to see if you consistent and you serious. They watch your life. They watch your words. As I said, don't get over here thinking you can fool the spirit. You can fool me. You can fool me and try to fool me and everything, but you cannot fool no spirit. So you just get your mind off that. It ain't gonna work. People have tried and run their butt right back over there to that church where they can pretend and stuff. This is for people that got a pure, sincere heart. Spirituality is for people who have a pure, sincere heart who don't mind standing naked in front of the spirit. You got to be willing to stand naked in that spirit because you're gonna be naked in front of them. They see you nothing but consciousness. When I'm working nights at that time 2 and 4, seems like I had more negative thoughts. Not anymore though. Yeah, the spirits are more prominent at that time between the hours of 3 and 5 o'clock in the morning. Spirits can roam a lot more at ease like that. Okay, it's a lot quieter at that time, so you ain't got a lot of thought, a lot of thinking going on, a lot of thought forms in a way. You get what I'm saying? People are asleep; they're in their dream state. So a lot of people a lot of active thinking going on. It's easy to tap into the astral realm and do all types of magic around that time too. You'll have less resistance if you did it between the hours of three. I'm dropping gems on you now, but y'all ain't gonna do nothing with it. You're gonna keep on doing stuff you ain't got no business doing. I be giving y'all stuff. I don't even know if y'all be using to your advantage or not. I be giving you stuff though. I don't even know if you putting it together because I be dropping gems to you, but I don't even know if y'all be putting it together, be using it for yourself. Okay, that's the best time to do your work between the hours of 3 and 5 o'clock in the morning, especially the time to talk to spirit, communicate with spirits. That's the best time to do it. Ah, okay, makes sense. Thank you. No, ma'am, I appreciate everything. I just started following. Okay, Rashad Thompson. Okay. Yeah, but you're gonna have to be consistent. They have to see you. There ain't nothing like these people. We just say, "Oh yeah, we accept you." Spirits ain't like that. You're gonna be tried and true before they start working with you. You best believe that. You best believe that. You gotta be tried and true. There ain't nothing like them. You can't fool and trick these people. They aren't interested in your money either. You think that's what that's about? They want your time. They want your time. That is more valuable than anything. They don't care about your money. They know time you can't get back. Okay, so if you invest in your time, you for real. Okay, they you gonna get their attention. They got to come. Okay, but you got to stay consistent. Some of y'all sometime want to do it here, do there, but then you want spirit to move mountains for you. It don't be making no sense to me. You got more time than money, and you don't want to invest no time. Put that kind of time. I mean, and then if they working on your side, you know you're gonna be good. You can't trust people, but you can trust a spirit. You can trust them. Don't make no sense to me. So you have to be consistent with that. That's why I said hoodoo is a way of life. I got rituals I get up and do every morning. Don't fail. I got rituals I get up and do every morning. Okay, they go by consistency. They really look at your character. Now you can fool these other people, but you cannot fool them. So just get that out your mind. It just ain't gonna work. People have tried and they have went crazy trying to do something like that. All these manipulators and all this stuff, you're gonna end up. I don't think I can see you doing if that's what you're doing. You're gonna end up conjuring something you can't get rid of, or you're gonna end up attaching yourself to a spirit that's gonna be ruling you. That's something I think of. Is it okay to start out contacting just your spirit guides? Not sure if I'm ready for ancestors. Why would you do that? Because ancestors serve as spirit guides. See how people be trying to do that loophole like that? I wouldn't recommend it because you're gonna find out that the spirit guides are your ancestors. These people to put new terms on things and call them spirit guides, but the spirit guides are your ancestors. The angels, some of them are your ancestors. You can't get away from it. You can play with that if you want to. The saints, some of them are your ancestors. They created most of the religions you see around you in spiritual systems. You can't get away from the ancestors. You start to see they everywhere and everything all the time. They got you thinking it's just your family. You start looking at other places. They right here. They right there. They right there. They right there. You start looking at your spirit guides. They probably gonna start looking like your ancestor. Some ancestors serve as guardian angels and spirit guides. Don't make no sense to me why people try to get away from there. We're not talking about your family. People equate ancestors to family. No, ancestors go beyond that. I just broke that down. Go look at my video on YouTube. I break that all the way down for you. Ancestors are beyond your family. We're not talking about some of our hurt, sick minded family. We're talking about our most elevated ancestors that are saints, that are angels, that are deities. I need you to understand that I'm gonna break it down again. Your saint, your ancestors, some of them, they copied all this from your ancestors. So the first time you see an angel in Kemet. Who do you see with feathers on? Aset, Isis. She's the first angel. Why do you think they call Mary Queen of Angels? Mary is an offspring of Aset Isis. She's called the Queen of Heaven. Are we putting it together now? The ancestors had to put me like this too. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's everywhere. They was like, yeah, it's everywhere. But you're not putting it together. We're gonna help you put it together. First time you ever seen an angel, it was a black woman on the walls of Kemet. Then you see them other people start painting them. made them look like her. And truly, she is the queen of heaven and the queen of angels. Can't get away. You can't get away from ancestor veneration. You could try. You can go ahead and try. You're gonna find yourself right back there. Matter of fact, the angels led me right, took me right over there to the ancestors. Okay, they were like, "Here are your folks," and I've been over there every. Now they still help me, but they have put me over there ever since because that's the work that I was supposed to be doing when I came here. Okay, and they reintroduced me, but you can't. Uh, because when you find out, you start really working with your spirit guides. You're gonna see some ancestral connections in there. You're gonna start to see it. Okay, and they talk about that among the spiritual systems. Most people, ancestors are serving as their guides. You'll see some of them in your spiritual court. When you start looking at your spiritual court, you're going to see a lot of older ancestors in your spiritual court you didn't know that was there, that was doing things for you. You couldn't even fathom. You couldn't even wrap your mind around. Okay. And that's why I be telling people when their ancestors is not doing one thing for them, they're probably doing something for you that you can't even comprehend. You don't even know they're doing it. They're probably protecting you for something you don't even know nothing about. But that's what they're doing. Not that they don't want to help you, they're doing something else that is probably just going to be better for you. Okay? I keep a candle on 24 hours a day for them. Okay? That's a good thing to do too. So be careful, a lot of why would you want to bypass the ancestors? I'm just thinking about your question, Brooks. Like why would you want to do that? Like our Brooks, like why would you want to go past them? I don't understand why you would want to do that. Are you afraid of them? Are we still with these false beliefs that uh, our ancestors are demons or evil or something? That's the only reason why I would think that you would be thinking like that. And you're gonna, if you're still thinking like that, you probably need to sit with it a little bit longer and start doing some more decolonizing, you know. Because if the ancestors is evil, so is the spirit guides. I mean, come on now. I just don't know your reason for that. I wish I knew your reason for that and why you said that, beloved. Because I kind of think you are. Is it fear? Is that what that is? And you don't have to be afraid of your ancestors. Okay. Now, if there's something that you're interested in, you can do it in a safe way, and we call on our most beloved ancestors. I thought it was like levels to it, and I thought the spirit guides like the beginners. No, your ancestors for the beginners. Okay, they can help you. They know you, they see you, they know you just starting. Okay, they're gonna take you slow. You don't have to worry about that. They're not gonna take you fast. Okay, they're not gonna have you doing stuff you're not comfortable with, and they're not gonna do it. They would not suggest anything that would hurt you. Okay, they'll take their time. When candles lit all the time is okay. I have one lit all the time, and one goes out, I light another. It's okay. You can have one. Black Magic might say the same thing. Some people just keep stuff work going on all the time. Some people just light a light for their ancestors. Everybody is different. Okay, might and you might feel more comfortable and feel more safer when your candles are burning. I love burning candles because it shifts the energy in the home and brings in good energy for me. You can feel the energy shift immediately when you burn the candles and start lowering the lights in the house. To me, it brings the house more in a peaceful. It brings in a peaceful shift. That's my experience. If you think they like it, then they like it. California Forever 444. If you think they like it, then they like it. Okay. Trust your intuition. If they're telling you that's what they like, then that's what they like. You will know it. If it feels good, then that's what it should be. Okay. Don't question it because they're speaking through your intuition. Okay. Don't question it. If that's what that you feel good and they feel good with that and they're comfortable with that, then keep doing it. Okay? It's everybody gonna do their practice a little difference. Hoodoo, my hoodoo ain't gonna look like your hoodoo. You probably look at my hoodoo and be like, "Damn, Miss Penny, you do hoodoo with any damn thing." You probably look at my hoodoo and be like, "Damn, you use anything for hoodoo." Yep, practically, because I see hoodoo and everything, and then you could be totally different. Don't mean that it's wrong. Don't mean that it's wrong. It just looks different. Everybody creativity functions different because when you start looking at magic, you're looking at people's creativity and their art as well, because magic is a form of art as well. Because the prettier I can make it, especially on my altar, the more I feel good and proud, of my altar, and I know my ancestors are liking their new home. So the more artsy and pretty I can make it, the more good energy it seems to exude. Because art does speak. It speaks its own language. So if you're doing it right, then if that's what their ancestors are moving you to do, then do it. Okay? Nobody has control over your ancestral practices. They know the way they like things done. So honor them. Not people. People lie, baby. People lie. People will lie to you. You still lie. The ancestors be telling you the truth, and them people sit right in your face and lie. After ancestors told you the truth, you be like, "What the hell? What the hell? Who lying here? Who lying here? Them or you?" Ancestors said, "They lying. We not lying. Them folks is lying." Okay. Now you got to you get used to trusting something that you can't see. What are your thoughts on ancestors' altars in your backyard? I think it's beautiful. I have nothing against it. I think that's great. Right? If you can have an ancestor altar outside in your backyard, you got the privacy, absolutely do it. Okay? I think it's great. Okay? As long as you tending to it and taking care of your ancestors, taking care of that altar. Don't leave it abandoned now and think the ancestors supposed to show up for you and you ain't been working at altar, keeping no coffee, no water and clean water and stuff out there. Make sure you tend to it. Okay? That's all I got to say about that. But I think it's great if you have it outside. To create a servitor, you'll begin with a clear intention and purpose. Every creation begins with the question, what do I need the spirit to do? So really think about what your mojo bag, your doll baby wanted to do, and start. If you have to list what you want them to do, list it. But that doll baby or that mojo bag or servitor, because maybe you want to just work with a servitor, uh, needs to have clear instructions on what to do. Now, if you're working with just a servitor, I feel like you have to be more careful with the servitor because you have to give it a specific job, and if you don't, then it can take on a life of its own. That's the drawback for me with the servitor versus working with the doll baby, a mojo bag. You know exactly what it's going to do. You're creating it what it's supposed to do. Now some people, they are comfortable with servitors like that, but to me it just takes too much attention. I gotta tend to that too much. I don't want to be. I want it easy for me. So I would rather be working with the mojo bag, or I'd rather be working with the doll baby that I have programmed already with the specific intentions to do what it's supposed to do, and it will be ongoing as long as I feed it and take care of it. That's it. With the servitor, I'm always having to check in, and of course, he's a part of my mental construct, so it's attached to me now. Okay, it's more attached to me versus the mojo bag is more, it's a part of me, but it's separate from me. It is a own individual versus a servitor. Yeah, it can function individually, but it's also a part of you as well. And you're having to contact this, really see it through your inner eye and through your consciousness. So you know, but if that's your thing, work with saboteurs, you don't have a problem with that. But I like the way our ancestors did it. There was nothing wrong with it. I would rather use that method with a mojo bag or a doll baby. That's what I would be using it for. Okay. You have some people, but I had one little girl on here. She made a servitor. I think she was just messing with stuff, and then she couldn't get rid of the Servitor, and she lost control over it, and it started doing stuff and jumping in the bed with her and doing all kinds of things she didn't want the thing to do. Okay, and I think this person was just inexperienced. They were just experimenting, and then find messed around and find out, this thing is real, and now they can't really don't have any control over it. They can't get rid of it. Okay. So you want to be really careful if you're going to be working with a Servitor. Make sure you're looking over all the materials when it comes to a Servitor, because you should have gotten I think we covered this. Should have gotten a Yeah, we're covering it. Okay, you should get some type of resource on Servitors and how to create them, which that's going to help you with your Mojo bag and things like that. But if you decide to just do the Servitor method without using a Mojo bag or a doll baby or vessel to put the spirit in, then you want to follow all those guidelines in creating a Servitor. Read everything. Don't do this until you read everything. Okay. I think it's just more, you have to be more cautious with a Servitor than you do with a doll baby or Mojo bag. Okay. Once the purpose is clear, whether for protection, money drawing, love, attraction, or spiritual guidance, the practitioner chooses the proper materials to embody the energy. And so, what we're going to do, usually with the Mojo bag, we're doing something for love. We're probably going to put some lavender, some rose in there. What else you would put in there? Damania. Uh, just things in there that would represent love. Okay. Then you will pray over it. Pray over all your herbs. Put your things together. Wrap it up. Whatever you're going to put in the Mojo bag. Some people put sigils in there to give it amplified, to give it more life, or they're working with a particular spirit. Then they'll use the sigil of the spirit inside the Mojo bag to amplify the spirit that they're going to put in the Mojo bag. Okay. So, there's so many ways you can do this. And so when you gather your stuff for your Mojo bag or your doll baby, whatever, again, you want to start spending time with it, because now it has become a spirit, and you want to talk to it like it's a real individual and name it and spend time with it and talk to it. Okay. I see people making Mojo bags, but they skipping all this part. And then I'm seeing people just throwing stuff in the bag and then run around with it and stick it right here. What are you doing? I've seen people do that, and I'm like, okay, so you ain't gonna put nothing on that. You ain't gonna pray on that. You ain't gonna do no ritual on that. You ain't gonna put no intention. You just gonna and just put it right there. You know, there should be more going on there. We should be talking to those herbs, telling them herbs what we need to be doing. Okay, but there is a process to this. We got so many another Mojo, another way our ancestors did Mojo bags. You have them making Mojo bags and taking them to the church. I forgot what book I was reading this in. Well, I was reading this book, and they was talking about how our ancestors were charging these Mojo bags. So you had some ancestors making Mojo bags, paying people in the church or the preacher in the church to hide the Mojo bag under the pulpit, so the Mojo bag could be charged by the preaching and the choir in church. They was hiding Mojo bags in church, charging them in church with the sermon and the choir. Yeah, you had ancestors doing that. Okay, it's when Hoodoo was in the church. They'll bring the Mojo bag to church, and they would charge it like that over the sermon. Okay, so you had them doing like that. Good night, Raquel, Miss Penny. The chat. Good night. I will be there early in the morning, but I still be listening. Good night. Okay, Raquel. Thank you for coming. So you had them charged. They was using that method too. They was taking them to the church and charging them up, then them be preached over. I don't know how many others. I wonder if they doing it in the Catholic Church now, because they don't be preaching like us. Our preachers be preaching, they be using breath work and they be, yeah, get on in here, yeah. And I told God to come on down here, yeah. I was just listening to a preacher the other night, I had never heard of him. But they was talking about him that he was saying, and God, and God. I said, oh my God. Every time he said God, he was like, and God, he would put a song on it. He would put a song on it. Had a dream about you. You had a dream about me, Zen Golden Child. Yeah, he was saying, and God. I said, boy, you ain't nothing like a black person, a black church preacher, boy, because they gonna preach it down. And God told you to get on in here, sister, and sit on down. And God said, I mean, we're gonna do that. We're gonna do that breath work on you. Okay? That even that was a rhythm, that chanting and rhythm and breath work, uh, again, was a way we was accessing higher energies and beings in church. And then you got other people, other church people start copying the way our preachers was preaching in the church. They knew something was happening because we was hollering and we were feeling something. They said, hey, we need to do that too. Then it's in a little girl in a little white church. She was acting just like the preacher, huffing the puff. I said, what is this child doing? This child doing shit to copy somebody else uh a sermon and talking and acting just like him. I had dreams too last night. Saw musicians and dancers. Okay. Yeah. The girls acting just like, and they try to talk and act like you. That is unique to your ancestors. That's ancestral memory. Okay. That's ancestral memory. And then we get the humming. Mm, mm, baby, they get the humming and your skin get the quickening. You get chills all over your body. They ain't said a word. They ain't everybody just humming. You can feel that spirit start moving around that church. That's when the church had hoodoo in it. We knew how to use our mouth. We knew how to use our voice. We knew how to use what we had. Okay. And so sometimes I have to go back to those old times doing just humming at the altar just to start calling on ancestors. Start doing stuff they do. And our ancestors get on that plantation to keep them evil spirits away. They go to humming and singing them church songs. Way in the water. And then by the time one person sing, it's all over the plantation. Trying to fight those evil spirits. Okay? You have to keep a song in your heart. Okay? Okay. Let's say. So again, when you're creating that servitor, keeping your mind on it. You shouldn't be be disturbed. I mean, creating your mojo bag, you shouldn't be being disturbed. Take you 20 or 30 minutes to create that bag. And then it might take you, depends on what you have going on. Some people can do it within 2 or 3 days programming it. Depends on what you got going on. You probably want to do it a week. Do you want to charge it with moon energy? Are you going to be working with the angel? Is your ancestors going to be helping you do it? So really put work into your mojo bag if you really want it to work for you. That helps. A servitor can be a house and a doll baby, a jar, a mojo bag. Jars are common for servitors with personalities or long-term function. When a root worker makes a mojo bag, they are creating a living spirit, or ally, whose job is to protect, draw luck, and attract love, or open roads. In essence, they are performing the same kind of creation ritual that gives birth to the servitor. Okay? So again, you're putting all your roots in there. You also got these other spirits that's going to be making this magic for you with the herbs and roots and things like that. Again, always name your bag or your servitor. They need to have a name because now they are real. They are spirits now. They need to be called by a name. Feed your bag. What you gonna feed your bag depends on what you have going on. Now I know a lot of people think that they ought to be using whiskey or conjure oil. But the way the and I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. You probably better listen. But if you are attracting something, you want something to attract. You want to use feed your bag something that attracted. And what do attract? Fragrances attract things. Okay, so I would be using fragrant waters instead of whiskey or uh conjure oil. And if I am going to use a conjure oil, it's going to be a type of conjure oil that's going to attract. If I'm trying to draw money or attract money, I'm going to be using some type of fragrance, because fragrances are good for attracting. Does that make sense? I'm also going to put a lotus stone in there because what did lotus stone do? They attract. That's what our ancestors used it for. So you want to think about what you feed in your bag. Now, if it's for protection or whatever, I probably would be feeding it whiskey or rum or something like that. Okay. If it's for healing or something like that, I'm probably going to use a oil, some type of conjure oil. But your ancestors tell you what you need to be using it for. But I want you to know there's a variety of ways to feed a bag than more than whiskey and conjure oil. You can also use fragrant waters. A lot of people don't talk about that. I started doing the bag one day, and I started to use oil. The ancestor said, "Don't use that." I said, "What?" They said, "Don't use that. You're trying to attract. You need to use something that's going to attract. You need to use some fragrant water. Need to use perfumes or something like that. That's for attract. You're trying to draw something in. Don't use whiskey. Don't use conjure oil. Use fragrance oil because you're trying to attract. And smells attract. Money smell good. That's what you're trying to attract. I was like, okay. So that probably be helpful in your tool bag. That's probably something you want to note down if you're making mojo bags. What are you using it for? Are you trying to attract, protect, or are you trying to heal? Which one? What are you trying to do? So really put some thought into that. Okay. When a servitor is housed within a doll, it becomes a living doll spirit. The servitor inhabits the doll. The doll can be clothed, named, and even fed with oils, waters, perfumes as offerings. In some cases, practitioners may place the doll near the bed, the altar, the door, depending on the function. Okay. So again, you want to put thought into the things that you are creating with the mojo bag. It is said that you shouldn't let anybody see your mojo bag. And then you have some people that make mojo bags for protection, and they don't mind people seeing their mojo bag. I don't want nobody seeing my mojo bag. Okay. Uh there it said don't drop your mojo bag, don't get your mojo bag wet. Okay. You want to keep it pinned to you, keep it close to you as possible. And make sure you're feeding it regularly. If not, you're gonna have to recharge it up. Okay. So anybody, I'm about to let you guys go. Does anyone have any questions about servitors or about the Mojo bag? You're gonna get the full book over there. I'm giving you this because we're getting ready to go into charms. I think we've just there. We're just going over a variety of different dolls that you can make, effigies that you can make. So you should be getting that as well. But if you have any questions about servitors, and servitors to me just gives you a greater understanding of mojo bags, doll babies, because what I'm finding is a lot of people is not giving a lot of insight in these books. Okay, I don't know if they're doing it on purpose. I don't know. Okay, but I have to come here and talk about it. So when you start making a mojo bag or you start working with doll babies, to that nature, you'll understand the process of it. And in order to understand and comprehend the process of it, I think Servitors is a great place to look. Okay. Anybody have any questions? No questions for me? Okay. And when you no longer need a servitor, they say too, if you're going to create a servitor, it needs to have an end date. It needs to have some type of fail-safe phrase. If the servitor gets out of your control, there needs to be a word that you can say that can immediately destroy the servitor. Or you need to have a date programmed into the servitor. By this date, you will no longer exist if you're going to be working just with the Servitor. I'm not talking about the Mojo bag or the doll baby. I'm talking about the Servitor because some people just like working with Servitors. I don't recommend it. Okay. So did any of this make sense to you guys? Did it help you understand more about Mojo bags and doll babies by talking about Servitors? But you also seeing people to use Servitors to make other spirits, and you can see, like I said, you can see a little bit of this going on in voodoo because that young lady said we can make a lure out of thin air. I said what? And she started complaining, explaining. I said, oh, you're creating a Servitor in the image of an ancestor. Need to create something to draw in a house without burden or loss. You have plenty of choices with that. I heard Saint Expedite can help you with that if you're draw in a house. If you need help with moving and finding a house, this is Saint Expedite can help you with that. If you're in our community, you'll get the whole guidebook on how to work with Saint Expedite. Okay. We had one young lady talk about she made a mojo bag. I forgot what kind of mojo bag she made, but that's how she got her house. She made a mojo bag. I don't forget what kind of mojo bag she made though. Okay. So there's so many ways that you can approach your magic. You can use saints, and of course your ancestors got a variety of other options in approaching your work. So you got so many options. Okay. It should be you gonna find it. I think we just covered saints. It might be in one of those links in one of those posts I have. Saint Expedite might be in one of those links because I know I reposted some Saint guidebooks in a post. So if you click on some of the links, it might take you there. But if you have problems finding it, let me know and I'll drop it in the chat and it'll take you right to the post. Okay. So again, you guys have all that good information. Um, over there in our community. I just broke it down to you. And of course, you do get a lecture with all the books. I just come here and share with our YouTube and TikTok family to help them. And then to help you too, to give you greater understanding. Maybe you'll catch something in this live stream that I didn't mention in the lecture. So just give you more clarity on things. You're welcome. What else I wanted to say? We will come back here tomorrow. We're gonna talk about egregores. So you probably, if you're a Christian and you don't understand your religion, you don't understand what's going on with you, I really want to help you because maybe you'll stop doing what you're doing. We're gonna talk about egregores so you understand what y'all doing up in them churches and what's going on up in there. Okay. And Black Magic Mike is me and him. He gonna be here with me tomorrow, keeping me straight. I'll be here around 8:30. I'm in Thailand, so it's gonna be 8:30 a.m. my time, probably Central Standard Time, 8:30 p.m. your time. It's gonna be the p.m. over there in the Americas, but it's gonna be a.m. for me. Okay, it's gonna be 8:30 a.m. my time in Thailand, and your time is gonna be p.m. because we're like 11, 12 hours ahead of you guys in America. Okay, because it's already Wednesday here, but y'all still on y'all Tuesday. You ain't even made it to Wednesday yet. I'm on Wednesday now. Y'all still on Tuesday. Okay, so I'll be here tomorrow, right around 8:30, and we're gonna talk about the egregores and Money Mike. I'm calling boy Money Mike, honey. You probably get some money. Black Magic Mike gonna Black Magic Mike gonna be here and he gonna keep it straight. And I'm sure he got a lot of things that he's gonna add in the chat too, because he seems to be very knowledgeable about the egregores and things like that. So I can't wait to see what he's gonna add to the conversation. Okay, so that'll be 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay. And so I'm gonna come here and we're gonna talk about it. And y'all, I'm probably gonna knock y'all socks off. And you probably gonna start putting some things together. You're gonna be like, that's why that was like that. Yep, that's why that was like that. So it's gonna probably bring some things together for you and probably educate you, and you can better protect yourself from all these crazy energies that's going on around you. Okay. All right, you guys. I'll be up here tomorrow. We're gonna talk about it tomorrow. I think my community is covering. Did y'all cover that yesterday or today? They're covering it. They even covered it yesterday or today. I try not to go ahead of my community, give them a chance to look at the information and then come here and share it with you guys. But I think that we have all that information there. I did a whole lecture on that, so we'll talk about it tomorrow. Okay. Working on things so I can get my birth chart done. Okay. All right. And if y'all want a astro reading, you know what to do. DM me. Let me put this in the chat before I leave out of here. DM me your uh, your time, your date, your place of birth, your email address, and I get you out an invoice when that transaction is completed. Then I'll get started on your chart. I forgot one baby. Forgive me, honey, baby. I had to apologize to that baby. I don't know what I knew I had one more person, but I forgot about her. It's the way her name was listed, the way she was listed in my thing. I said I sure did forget that baby. I said I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. I don't do it on purpose. And when I do mess up, honey, I'm gonna ask for forgiveness. And no, I ain't mean to do it on purpose. I will help you up and ask for forgiveness if I made a mistake, because I don't want you being mad at me. Okay. I double check my email for the astro chart. I'll double check. Okay, did I send it to you, baby? Because I know I sent that. I sure did, baby. I got that sent that to you the other day. Look in your spam box or junk mail, because sometimes it's been going to other people's other box. And I know I sent that to you the other day. Well, check in your email, because I know now if you didn't get it, DM me and I'll resend it. But I did send it, baby. I know I did. Okay. And if you didn't get it, let me know. I'll resend it. Not a problem. Okay. All right. You guys take care.